All right, guys, we're getting started a little early today. I kind of wanted to talk about some of the things that I'm hoping are going to happen today with the interview between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and then just have some dialogue back and forth with you guys to see what we want to talk about. I did want to point out something that just happened a minute ago. So, or I should say, got posted maybe an hour ago. Kamala Harris pledged to release all criminal illegal immigrants from detention centers in the United States on day one if she's installed into the Oval Office. To me, this is absolutely insane. It blows my mind because you have to realize that, let's just backtrack here, guys. Kamala was the border czar. We know that from years ago on posts in Axios and from even Biden saying it. Then she was not the border czar. Everybody told us she wasn't responsible for the border. Then this last week in both her campaign speeches and advertisements, she tried to make it look like Donald Trump was weak on immigration and that she was going to crack down on it and make it better. But now she's going to get rid of the criminal detention centers and just let people in. And this is after we found out recently from some people leaking from Homeland Security that the Border Patrol wasn't doing the DNA checks and a bunch of other responsibilities that they had. On top of this woman never actually going to the border. Let's just listen to her real quick.
Hi, my name is Sally Hartman. I'm a volunteer with the Center for Worker Justice.
Okay.
I want to know, when you become president, would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one. On day one.
If this woman isn't a chameleon, I know people say that, but I'm sorry. She literally talks about being tough on this stuff, makes it sound like she's done a better job on the border than Biden. Over 31% of her base think that the border is out of control. And she just said that she's going to open up the detention centers and basically close those down. What is going on? What does any of this mean? I mean, it's going to be very interesting. I can't wait until the DNC that starts on the 19th, I want to say. It's going to be very good to see what her actual agenda is because I am so confused by everything now. That I don't know what's happening. I did want to talk to a couple of things that are kind of exciting while we wait. And I'm on Elon's page here, or I should get back to it real quick. Let me do that. Also, how are you guys all doing tonight? What do you think? I've got some ideas. I was going to talk to what I hope Trump looks like tonight and what I hope he says and how I hope things go. But what do you guys think? What do you think this is going to be like? Is it going to be a shit show? Is it going to be all about Trump? Or is it going to be substance? I can tell you this. I saw him on the All-in-One podcast, and it was like listening to a different person. I was very impressed by all of it. I hope we see that guy tonight. Hi, everybody. Let's see. I hope this is constructive. Me too, BT. Johnny Utah, good evening. Back at ya. Master the game. Blows my mind how people are actually supporting Harris. I don't get it. Jax, what's up, friends? Hope all is well with everyone. Back at ya. Dom Tong, exciting night, very. Alex Garcia, what up, or sup, people? Hi, Jesse. Back at you, brother. I honestly don't know what to expect. Me either. Here's something I want to show you, though, because, again, there's a bunch of polling data and things that people are getting that are not remotely accurate. You got to remember, Hillary Clinton was winning by like 16 points on some polls back in 2016, and obviously she did not come the president unless I'm in the wrong timeline. So here's something else I wanted to show you from my buddy George. He's great. Again, he keeps track of all the judicial stuff going on in all the swing states. But he said, apparently Kamala is surging in the polls, yet somehow Republicans have gained 252,794 new registered voters, and her party lost 19,000 just in July. So look at this. So we're seeing voter registration. Look at this. California, Republicans up 94,000. Democrats down 43. All others up 43. How many of these just switched from Democrats? But also, just look at this across the board. All of these states, including these swing states, look at what he has here. Arizona up 20,000. Democrats up 3,500. California up 95,000. down 43 for the blue team. Pennsylvania up 21,000, blue team up 5,700. North Carolina up 6,300, blue team down 722. So this is the opposite of what we're seeing in the polls. And I've showed, for anybody who's watched my political commentary, you've seen that I've been kind of describing that the polls are not accurate, and that if you look here, I'll pull it up real quick just to show you guys while we're waiting. Real Clear Politics does show that Kamala's in the lead, and maybe it's refreshed. Maybe we have new polling data that's on here. This is my favorite site to go to for this stuff. There's also the betting markets, which I think is helpful too. So she dropped. So Kamala dropped to 0.4 in the lead, right? Why is this important? This is important because Rasmussen was by far one of the most accurate pollers in the last two major presidential elections, maybe three, just two I know of. And they have Trump up by 5. But not just that. Here's what really matters. Even though Harris is showing that she's up by 0.4, here's what really matters. This part right here that nobody looks at. Not this fat guy over here. This part right here. August 12th of 2020, Biden was up by 7.5 points, and he barely won. August 12th of 2016, Clinton was up by 6.3, and she lost soundly. So keep in mind that the stuff you're seeing isn't necessarily an accurate reflection of what's going on in the world, okay? Don't get disheartened by listening to mainstream media telling you that it's all falling apart, because history tells us they're full of shit. I better watch the foul language or I'm going to get demonetized again. Well, maybe that'll happen anyway. We got Trump on here. Probably going to happen, right? So whatever. But yeah, so I mean, again, so don't trust the polls unless they're Rasmussen, maybe. And definitely keep in mind the day in history and what things look like then. This site has been around for almost 25 years. It's one of the most reputable you can deal with. Let me go back to chat. Johnny Salgado, Elon is a very smart guy. He'll have all the right questions. He's going to be opening it up in spaces too, and people are going to be chatting. It's not just going to be him doing it. This is going to be very much a community thing. But we'll see how it goes. This won't be easy. This is something Kamala couldn't do. She's too much of a wuss. She would run away from this in a heartbeat. So at the very least, you have to respect this man for having some balls. Not literally, but you know what I mean. All right, BT. Don't just want to talk shit talk fest law. David Chapinda. Hi from Portugal. Please vote Trump. Bro, I hope we do. For everybody's sake in the world. BT should be live from a Cybertruck cockpit. I've already been in the Cybertruck a couple times, but you're right. That would be fun. Corey Dreyer. This should be good. A non-biased conversation. I'm pretty biased. I'm pretty biased. I'm pretty biased. But here's the deal. I don't lie. So that's key. I don't think a lot of people have that anymore. Car guy, Jesse, I just want to thank you for the unfiltered truth, good or bad. Thank you for doing this. Dude, you're welcome. I'm tired of listening to people lie. I'm tired of people trying to bend the truth. My goal, even though I'm very much in the Trump camp now and I was in the Biden camp last election, is to try and give the truth, right? I want to represent the truth. I don't want to give you some made up reality. I think it's better to be true to oneself and to the people around them. BT, I want to see Trump say something along the lines of, I know I come across as brash, but my presidency will benefit the majority of people. Yeah, me too. I would like to see him tone it down. Again, I don't know how many of you saw the All In podcast, but he was great in that. He was just such a normal dude. And I think that's what he needs to capture. He doesn't need to do the bully pulpit stuff and the things that his base like in the last election or in the previous one that got him elected, where he was just like, I'm the president. And he was very verbose all the time. That doesn't need to be the way that he comes off now. He needs to come off as somebody who's relatable. He needs to come off as somebody who is truthful. And he needs to come off with the best policies and point out what's good in his and what's bad in hers. And if he could do that, I think he's got it in the bag. I do have Bitcoin pulled up. If you guys look down here, I've got that pulled up because I just want to use that to be able to kind of track the mood, at least from a financial perspective, on what's being said. My theory, and what I believe will play out, and what I would like to see if it does, is that If Trump is doing really well, Bitcoin goes up. And if Trump is doing really bad, Bitcoin goes down. I want to see if that happens. And so, yeah, JD Vance, wow, is that guy impressive? Let me show you some other stuff here. I want to go through a couple of things, okay? While we're waiting. And let me just refresh over here. If you guys see any of the feed coming up, let me know. I do want to talk to JD Vance a little bit and what's going on there. And we've got about 19 minutes until we start. So I got time. So let me use my pulpit and talk. Glenn Greenwald said, the way U.S. corporate media has transformed Kamala Harris from a national embarrassment. You got to remember, nobody liked her. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez literally had a video on TikTok the day before it was announced that she was going to be the presidential candidate, saying that nobody likes her in the Democratic Party and that there's no way she would be the candidate. And then literally the next day, she's on here. She was voted the most liberal senator. She didn't do anything during her presidency. If you guys can find things that she did, please let me know. She definitely didn't secure the border. And yet now, overnight, she is a pioneer, a vision of a better future. Her moment, Kamala Harris, without even pretending to care about anything that she thinks or believes, is a powerful testament to how potent the science of propaganda truly is. I 100% agree with that. It's nuts. And we know that people are so frightened of Donald Trump that the European Commission is trying, not only did they create a secret deal a month ago that they were trying to get across with Elon so that they could shut down people like me, probably, with bigger voices that are in support of Donald Trump, but they wanted to do all of this in secret. And then when they didn't, they sent a message to Elon letting him know that they were going to come after him and that they're going to sue him, and that you know what happens here is like stuff that they can just, it's just crazy. It's a crazy world we live in right now when you have the head of the European Commission trying to go after him. And then at the same time, we have people more recently like, let me go back here real quick. Here we go. Thierry Breton, with great audience commands greater responsibility, basically saying that Elon is amplifying hate and misinformation with X. I guess that's what we call freedom of speech. And then we have community notes to clarify what's accurate. But I guess that's all of these things that they hate in Europe and in the UK. But I propose this out here, and I just want to say it to you, and let me know what you think. People keep acting like this election doesn't matter. I hear this from Bitcoin people. I hear this from people all over investing in the stock market that are liberal. They're just like, oh, it doesn't really matter who becomes president. And I was like, but if it doesn't matter, why is the European Union trying to censor a presidential candidate in an interview on X? I'm like, the answer is, the answer, it does matter a lot. And the global machine is quite upset about the potential of real Donald Trump. And I think they want to be able to control us. That's what I'm seeing all across the West. That's what I'm seeing in the UK, where you don't have freedom of speech at all, and you can be imprisoned for years because you posted the wrong meme, right? And then Tim Walz, the VP candidate for Kamala Harris, says the same kind of stuff. So if he believes the same kind of thing that the leaders of the UK do, what is our future? Please tell me, what is our future if these people get control? I can't imagine it's going to be good. So I don't know. Again, man, I'm worried about the future, and I believe there's reason for that. And yeah, I want to talk to a few other things real quick too. Oh, and here's that same Time magazine article with Trump. Do you see any differences here? Do you see any bias maybe in the reporting? Also, look at this political poll. Here, let me do this. Let me just shrink this up while we're waiting here. Oh, I'll increase it actually. So in 2025, if the presidential election were held today, for whom would you vote? Donald Trump, 73% out of 216,000 votes. Now, don't get me wrong. People can be voting from different places. Some of this, we've got some indication, too, of kind of what's happening in regard to just the U.S., which we'll speak to in a second. But again, this is kind of a bummer. Look at this. Donald Trump's running ads on X. I love it. Also, before we talk to Trump's specific list, because he has a list of 20 points that he wants to do for America, I'll just tell you what I like about him, okay? Let me see if I can find it real quick. I had it on here. Let me see. Oh, I might have to. I might. You know what? We'll do this. We'll do this one, and then we'll find my list. I'll find it off to the side when I have time. So here's Trump's 20 core promises to make America great again. I don't know if it's not great now. It definitely feels like it's not great. 1, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. I think that's paramount. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. I don't know how I feel about this one. Here's what I want to hear him say. I want to hear him say that he's going to go after people that are dangerous, that are criminals, that didn't come here with family, that, you know, just all the things that you'd be worried about, right? Like deport those people and get them out. I don't know about everybody, because there's some benefit to this. But again, we kind of need to figure this out. I think it's going to end up being nuanced, but I'd like to hear him speak to it. 3rd, end inflation and make America affordable again. He can totally do this because the economy is deflating massively right now. So that's already going to happen. He's got that one in the bag. I'm not worried about it. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. This is something I hugely believe in. I believe that gas, oil, electricity, wind, hydro, we need to pump energy. And if there's any incentives the government gives, it needs to be to creating energy. This will help Bitcoin. This will help for the base costs of every product we produce and service we produce in this country. And it will make us a leader in energy production for the world. We want that. That directly correlates to wealth. You can look at charts throughout history at how much energy is being produced and consumed, and it leads to wealth. We want that. That's something we should be shooting for, and I'm very excited about. One of his top policies. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. I think we can do that. It's going to require tons of automation, and right now we have China pushing out products en masse at losses to try and prevent us from being able to do this. So this is going to be tricky, but I want to hear what he has to say about it. 6, large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. I don't know if he put it in here. I agree with all that. And to be clear, the no tax on tips is something he did over 2 months ago that Kamala has just said she'd do today. So they must have polled and figured out that it was a good idea and she's got to keep up with Trump. But so far, the only thing we really know about her is that she's flip-flopped on a bunch of different things that she felt differently about in the past. And this is one of them, right? Because we know that the Democratic Party, including Joe Biden and herself, were increasing reporting efforts and creating a portal. They were trying to make it to where they could get more tax revenue off of people that were tipping and make it easier to collect taxes on it. Now they don't want to collect any at all. And even Joe Biden's press secretary today said that Biden felt the exact same way, and that they would be that they don't want taxes on tips, which is funny because it's the complete opposite of their agenda, right? Also, something I don't know that Trump has on here, but and we've got about 12 minutes, 11 and a half minutes. He wants to make sure that we renew the tax cuts that he had done previously under his regime. If we don't do that, they turn into tax hikes, right? So I don't think he put it on here, but that's one of the primary things. 7, defend our Constitution and our Bill of Rights and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Hell yeah. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our country, all made in America. I 100% agree with that. End the weaponization of government against the American people. If you've looked at what's happened with Donald Trump and or Elon Musk in the last 4 years, you understand that the judicial system has been weaponized against both of these people. 10, stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Kamala wants to release these people into the populace. So yeah, I'm going to side with Trump on this one. 11, rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., make them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. Trump railed against this in the last presidency when I was against him, but I get it now. He thought it was stupid that we were paying as much as we were for some of these fighter jets and things, and that it was just outrageous, and that we were getting bent over and that we were building weapon systems that wouldn't help in a new war. I 100% agree with that. Funding should be going to Palantir, Anduril, companies that are innovative, companies that aren't just nickel and diming the U.S. government. I would love to see that happen. I'm 100% in support of this. Keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. Trump used to rail against Bitcoin because he wanted the dollar to be strong. Now he realizes the dollar can be strong if we have Bitcoin reserves. He wants to create a crypto and Bitcoin council. He wants us to be the leaders in this industry. I love all of that. All of it. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including changes to the retirement. I mean, he just has to put that in there because nobody can run that's going to cut on these things. Nobody. 15, cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. I 100% agree with this. Tesla's ramp has slowed down dramatically because the government, us, were helping fund EVs for legacy automakers that can't make them worth a shit. Okay, they suck. And there's an abundance of those now, and nobody's buying them. And so it's a waste of time and money. Let the good companies win. Let the bad ones die. That is capitalism. If there's anything the government does, it should be to incentivize the direction of the economy, but not decide winners and losers. So 100% agree with that. Get rid of all that crap. Tesla will prevail. I'm all for it. 16. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, and political content on our children. I'm trying not to cuss. I don't want my 10-year-old daughter to have people constantly talking to her about critical race theory, gender, sexual orientation, race, political content. I don't want her to go to school to be indoctrinated. I think is that not okay? You guys tell me. Keep men out of women's sports. I don't want to see men beating up my daughter when they get older. Okay? I don't care if they've got both parts, if they've got an XY chromosome, and science tells us that they're a man. Do not get in a boxing ring with my daughter. I think that's simple. I think most people can agree with that. Unless you're in France. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic. Qatar donates billions of dollars to our college campuses so that they can radicalize them and teach studies that promote the radicalization. Can we not have that in our country? Can we pass some laws to make sure that that isn't happening in our country? I'm for that. 19, secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. Why does every Democrat I know who says that the elections were fair last time not want this? Tell me. If you're a Democrat, if you're liberal and sitting in chat right now, tell me why you don't want people to be able to give their ID. Kamala Harris required it in Arizona at her last rally. You had to have an ID to get in. But you don't have to have one for voting because it's racist. Her words, not mine. Unite our country by bringing it to a new and record levels of success. See, Trump believes in innovation. He said that we should be the innovators in everything and we should support people like Elon Musk, one of the greatest innovators of our time. I am all for that. Somebody who's put up, his company might get 90% of the payload mass that's went to orbit for the entire Earth could come from SpaceX. Neuralink is helping people potentially in the future walk again. There's all kinds of things. And then Tesla's on another level too. And then that's not even all of his companies. And yet, Joe Biden can't even tell people that this is the greatest EV maker in the United States because it's not a union. The people that have bought and sold him. The people that own his soul. So I don't want anybody like that in office again. So yeah, I'm super biased if you're watching this. I am. But I also voted for Joe Biden. And I do look at common ground and down the middle. Okay? So I just want to be clear that I am biased, though. I'm voting for this man. All right, let's get into chat. Let's look over here. We're going to check. Oh, I see a space trying to kick off. We'll see how many times this thing crashes. Details not available. This is going to break the internet. It's definitely going to break. It's definitely going to break X. We'll see. Elon was practicing last night. All right, let me get caught up here, guys. I wanted to say something about Venezuela. Man, Venezuela is going through so much. I can't even say like the stuff that's happening, but between Bangladesh and Venezuela, my heart goes out to all these people. It's like this is a great representation. Venezuela is what happens if you go down the path of equity that Kamala Harris is talking about. They did that 27 years ago with the joy and love of all the liberal community in California, and look at what they are today. They went from one of the richest nations in South America to the poorest. And Argentina went the opposite way now and is trying to be democratic and free and embrace capitalism, because 100 years ago they turned away from it and it destroyed their country. And they were supposed to be the next United States of America or better. And they were ruined for 100 years. So yeah, please to God, I hope our country is not dumb enough to vote for a socialist who wants to destroy it, whether she realizes it or not. I really hope. All right, so let's see. I hope if anybody knows whether we're live or not, I'm going to go back to see if I can get into real Donald Trump here. Let's see. I might just kill this one. I'm going to kill this one and go back over. See if we can at least get our seat, right? Hopefully. Back over here. I'm just going to go into here. Real Donald. Oh, it looks like he's trying. Let me see if I can get in. It's going to be, this is going to be crazy. Oh, I hope this works. I hope it doesn't break. That would suck. What are you guys thinking, man? Talk to me in chat. I'm going to keep running through while I try to get connected here. Jesse, thank you for your effort to educate us. Very appreciated. You're welcome, David. BT, what kind of Spider-Man shit is that? I don't know what we're talking about. JD Martin, 1776 was good. Goodbye, EU. Yeah, dude, totally. Alex Garcia, we're all going to have to move to Argentina with Malay. Isn't that crazy? Lowe's 94, the 3 streams in a day looking for group. Hit the like for the man. If you guys could hit the like, I greatly appreciate it. I'm a turncoat. I'm a liberal who voted for Joe Biden, and I found the light. I didn't know it was there. But once you start to open your eyes and once you have a platform like X, it's hard not to know the truth. I'm going to see... I might have to see, if you guys know of anybody that's connected right now, let me know. It looks like X is just dying. So I might jump over here and see if there's anybody that's actually connected on YouTube to see if I can get in. It's got a minute to go, but it's looking crazy. Watch live, Trump meets with Elon Musk. I think these are BS, though. Yeah, these are like all scams. I'm looking online and I'm seeing a bunch of stuff, but it's all scams. It's trying to get people to send them crypto. The classic. Yeah, these are all crypto scams. Isn't YouTube amazing? Aren't they just amazing that they just let that stuff happen? That's so cool. Good for you, YouTube. It's blanked out. Okay. Jeez, dude. I think X is broken. I don't even know if this is going to happen tonight. We'll see, though. I'm going to try and get in, guys. This is nuts. Amit is just sitting on his phone, too. I'm officially joined, but it blanks out. Alex, so are you in? Or is it just going in and out? What's happening? I mean, right now, as far as I can tell, X is broken. Let me see here. I'm going to try and get to X. Let me see if I can rig this. Nope, that's... Okay, so that's another site. Okay, so if I get out of X spaces, I can move around. Let me see what Elon's saying. If you guys see anybody getting connected, it's getting in and out. I can't get in either. When I first joined, I could see other listeners. I'm in on a link, Trump's last post, hold music playing. Okay, good. So we're not dead yet. Conversation with starts in a few minutes. That was 3 minutes ago. Okay, so let's see. Oh. It's not working for me, Andy says. Yeah, I can't either. So we'll sit here for a little bit and hang. I'm gonna keep reading through chat real quick. Any and everything. By the way, Ron Paul was talking about elimination of tax on tips 20 plus years ago, and he mentioned many times when running for Republican nomination in 2008, definitely not a new idea. It's not. This is what happens when societies start to fail. When you're near the fourth turning of a civilization, you have to give stuff away. This is it. Sean Archambault, because they could they collect a paycheck. Yeah, people who collect paychecks get screwed. Chris Federal, preach. Always Chris. Chris is an admin in here too. He's a great dude. Nathaniel, thanks for joining, dude. I really appreciate you, man, and your support. Chris, Disease Kodak, almost time. Praying for all those people. Too many. This is crazy. Corey Dreyer, I will never understand how any American would not want voter ID. Yeah, right. Shouldn't we have a national holiday and voter ID? I mean, it's absolutely crazy not to think about something like this. Let me see. I still can't get in. If anybody's in chat, please let me know. 27,600 join. Same number as 15 minutes ago. It says not available. We'll have to see. This is probably bugged. Let me see what else X is saying. See if anybody's talking about it. I was really hoping they would have this working. Everybody's saying the same thing. Pray for spaces tonight, says Sawyer Merritt. Every time I see one of these that says like, that looks like you could click on it, it just dies. This might get postponed. No argument. Yeah, okay. Let me see here. Not working for me either. If this works. This just reminds me of the Ron DeSantis one. Did you guys catch that one? Joined. I see 118,000 joined. Well, I can't even look up real Donald Trump. I have to kill this. See, it's under, once you get under spaces, it just bugs. So I gotta see, isn't there another way to join spaces? This, communities, nope. Premium, this. I know on mobile there is. Says unavailable 27. So we've gotten up to 118,000. What a huge number. All right, let's see. We're going to try and... I might just have to refresh and hit the back button. Trump has gained 300,000 followers, I think, today. Still just says dead. Let me go into here. Not working for me. Try again. I'm following all Patriots back on. Does anybody... can you guys look and see if you see anybody online actually? Donald Trump, Elon Musk. I'm going to try and see if I can find interview live. I'm going to see if I can find the real interview. Bullshit. Meet Kevin. One sec. I'm going to hop into Meet Kevin and see what he's saying.
This is a blatant scam.
Oh, yeah. He's just complaining about the same shit I am. He's saying that there's blatant scams that are on here.
Live Elon Musk interview with...
So, again, we've got blatant scams on here. Live with Donald Trump in the interview. Does this look like one? Oh, maybe this is it.
America.
I'm going to kill this. Live. Donald Trump, Elon, Times of India. So they're trying to get in. So the Times of India is trying to roll with it. So I'm going to keep this up on my sideline here, guys, while trying to see if I can get into Trump's. If any of you guys get in, let me know. There's 8 million views on this space. There's no way this is gonna work. Oh my god. This is nuts. All right, so let me see. I want to see if these guys can get in. So Times of India, I'm going to remember that for now. They're playing some of Trump's stuff, and that looks legit real. It doesn't look like the blatant scam, crypto scam shit stuff. News about Elon Musk and Donald Trump 14 minutes ago. Elon Musk and Donald Trump, the unexpected alliance is game-changing. This is a crypto scam. I'm in. It hasn't started yet, though. Oh, okay. Good. Somebody got in. That's good. All right, I'm just going to switch the stream over to you, dude. You're in charge now. BT's running the show, guys. Hopefully you got your game face on, bro. All right, let me just jump over here to this YouTube. I want to see the Times of India. That seems to be the only remotely legit, potentially legit one. Let's see how Meet Kevin's doing. He is not having any other luck. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait here on this grayed out screen and let that roll just to see if it does anything. And then I'm going to grab another X screen and pull it over so I can still do searching. And then I'm going to, let's see what Kevin's talking about.
Public filings. Be very, very skeptical of scams out there. Still waiting.
Oh, okay. So he got the stream up. Give me a second here. It looks like they're still down and trying to get in. Let me see if that in Times of India has it. Uh, 24,000 watching. It says former U.S. President and Republican nominee Donald Trump made a comeback with X with his message. This as a Trump interview, interviewed on social media on the platform formerly known as Twitter. So this is supposed to be real. Click on the streaming through Elon's page. Okay. Ah, okay. Jesus Christ, this is all just... through here? I'm going to try it. Same thing, dude. Tesla YouTube channel? Ah, the real one? Or is that the bullshit? Let me try. I don't see it. I don't think they're doing it on here. They're not doing it on the Tesla YouTube channel. Let me see. You know what? We'll piggyback off of me, Kevin, if we have to. I don't care. I got no qualms with that. Elon, Musk, Trump. So we're going to piggyback off of this man here in a second.
To join, but the event has not started yet. I would.
Okay, so we're hanging on to meet Kevin here for a second to see if he's getting in, guys. While that's happening, I'm gonna keep trying. So we're not giving up. Let me just try it from here. If I click on the profile image, does it do better? Yeah, I think it's just super bogged down. Elon's profile. I'm trying it. Prider with Herbert is right. Is in right now with Boomer. Okay, let's go to him. Let's get over to... All right, let's go to these guys. Yep, okay, cool.
But it's funny because
We're going to keep this music off for now. Or keep it low.
that you see moving from Trump's account.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna turn that off for now. But we're gonna be piggybacking off of Herbert Ong and Boomer Mama. If you don't know Alexandra Mars, she's great. So far, Bitcoin is rallying a little bit. We're also at a count of 420 people here. I think we should celebrate with that by hitting the like button and supporting my channel if you guys would. And we'll just keep. I'm gonna hit the play button here. Oh, I should hit the play button definitely. And then just keep this muted for now. And fast forward, make sure that we're up to current. Oh, let's see. 1 second. It looks like Trump is talking, but it doesn't look like he's talking. So let me see if I can get in still. It looks like it's still just kind of a shit show, guys. Sorry, but it does. I'm going to kill... If you get back out of spaces, I can like go back in and at least try and click on it. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, we know. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Everybody's trying to get in at once. This is like a scaling nightmare. What's going on right now? And poor Trump, if he's trying to talk. Like, look at this. It says that he's talking right now. Who's he talking to? I was really hoping. I was hoping this would be better than it is. This is kind of disappointing. We'll see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on here. Or maybe I'll just do this. Maybe if I bring this down. Nah, it doesn't really work. All right, so sorry guys, we're hanging, trying to make it work. Let me look. Okay. 192,000 per Doge designer. If you're unable to join the space and encounter this error, try joining the web instead. It should work there. I'm literally on the web. So thanks, Doge designer. Enigma. Trump's moving this thing just like an elevator music. Kane Kavlasky. It's just music. Oh, okay, that makes sense. It's just the music playing. I got you. Prelims. I think you might be playing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This sucks. Yeah, it does suck. But here's the deal. If it kicks off and works, great. I'm a happy man. But this is a heck of a way to troubleshoot this. And I know Elon just did a double, like an all-nighter trying to make this stuff work. But it's like they've got to be more scalable than this. This is crazy. They're so good at so many things, and yet we can't even get this to work.
It's just the number that they show sometimes.
Yeah, let's blame CrowdStrike. Good job, Kelly. I agree. That's a great idea. Let me see. I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna try and pull up another one here, guys. Just see what's going on X while we're waiting here. It's a nightmare for the system. I totally agree. I think I'm in. I'm hearing electronic. Hey, Dion got in. This guy. I love this guy lately, man. It's just awesome. He went from being a liberal to being a Republican, and he's switched full spectrum. I love it. So we're 26 minutes in to him trying to fire off this stream, and it ain't working. So we'll have to see what happens. Let's see if these guys are making any progress. Oh.
Fuck yeah.
They're just hanging out. Oh, I always want to say Herbert and Gerbert every time I see him on there. That could just be me, though. And Boomer Mama, she's an older lady, but man, she's so awesome. I love her. Got a super crush on her. Jesse, I have a question. If you got, dude, I think I got a few. What do you got, Disease Kodak? Ralph Hildebrand. Everybody tries several. Yeah. Okay. 223,000. I think there's millions of people trying to join right now. That's the problem. I think it's millions. And Elon's probably trying to troubleshoot in real time. That would not surprise me a bit. What a cluster. Should I hold some cash into the election and take some profit in a few months in case Kamala gets elected? Oh, dude, that's the golden question, right? I do think that if Kamala gets elected, you're definitely going to see Republicans rush for the door. And over the short term, we could see an uptick maybe from Democrats trying to take advantage of that drop. But it's going to be bad, man. mid to long term, it's going to be bad. It's just you can't have people that want to raise taxes on businesses and the rich at a time when you have a debt to GDP well over 100% and an economy that's already contracting. It's just, if that happens, we're all probably fucked initially, screwed, excuse me, and then the markets will probably go up from all the money printing because it's going to have to be astronomical just to support it. And then you have to worry about inflation again, and then it starts to look like some crazy version of the 70s that's a lot worse. My girlfriend has some cousins and aunts there, laughing my ass off. DJT knew this would break Spaces so he can promote Truth Social. Yeah, I doubt it. Truth Social isn't much of anything. Plus, it's not like it's going to work there. Kyle Wright, guaranteed Kamala couldn't break the internet like this. Everyone wants to hear what these two have to say. I agree with that 100%. Whether it happens tonight or not, that's the truth. Let me see. I think Herbert's still talking.
Back into X. And
Yeah, he's just talking. Bitcoin will be fine either way. You know, people say that, Sean, but that's just not true, okay? If you have a president, Donald J. Trump, who says that he's going to create a council for Bitcoin and crypto, and that he's also going to buy it as a reserve asset, and you compare that to somebody who does not support it, who's still allowing Operation Choke Point 2.0 to go on, you could be looking at years of downwards price pressure on Bitcoin. Now, will it survive? Sure. Will America survive? Probably not. So again, if you're looking at somebody that wants to tax and then suppress the people that build jobs in this country at a time when unemployment is rising while allowing tons of illegal immigration to persist, like Kamala just said, she's looking to release everybody from the jails that they have in the detention centers, these criminals that have crossed the border, and just let them run free. She literally said that today. And then she doesn't support crypto. She's got Crypto for Harris. We're supposed to support her. And then she's a socialist and a Marxist, almost communist. And then her VP is very similar, if not worse. He puts tampons in the boys' restrooms in high schools. When the Minneapolis mayor was begging him for help with the National Guard, he told him to go pound sand and let the place burn to the ground. Bitcoin will care over the short term. And I'm talking about years that it could slow it down. So yeah, will Bitcoin care in the end? No. Will you care if you own Bitcoin now? Yes. Will you care if America collapses? Yes. So I don't want to hear anybody else say that Bitcoin don't care. It's like, no, it is impacted, man. It's not perfection. It's not perfection. It's great. It's meant to be incredibly resilient. But it can get damaged for long periods of time. And more importantly, the country I live in could collapse. And that's something I don't want. Let's see here.
On social media, right? I mean,
All right, still talking over there. If you guys get any more deets, let me know. Otherwise, I don't even see the space up anymore. Oh, no, it's back. Let's see here. I'm going to click on Trump. I think people are randomly getting in by just attempting. Yeah, literally, Minneapolis burned down, man. Minneapolis burned down. And I've got a major problem with that because that isn't far from me. So I don't like that, right? Like, I don't want to see cities burning to the ground because the governors want them to. His wife, Waltz's wife, you want to know what she said about the riots? She said that she loved the fact that the people were rising up for their cause. And so she opened the window so she could smell the burning tires and buildings. His daughter, knowing that her dad said no to the National Guard, started posting on social media to let people know that they could trash the place because there wasn't going to be any National Guard that night. Can you imagine that? That's the people we're looking to elect into office. That's the transformation we're looking to bring to America. Are you excited about that? Let's look at something else while we're waiting here real quick. There's one that, I don't know. I don't know if I like looking at it, but it speaks a lot to it. Let's look at this. This is Minneapolis. This is what Waltz did to this city. Parts of this city have not even been built back. This happened in the burbs too, okay? And he let this happen. He wanted this to happen. This is the kind of man we're talking about. So I get really, the defund police idiots. DDoS attack seems to be occurring. Is it? Is that like speculation or is that an actual thing? I mean, I know it can be a thing, but is it an actual thing? Are we seeing a DDoS? I mean, that would be a good way to shut Trump down, especially if you're the European Union and okay, I don't know what that means. Oh, let me see. Are we back? No, it just looks like the same old, same old. I think I'm in, people say. I think I'm in. Let's look over here.
Try to find that.
What did Elon post? Let's go back. All right. Thank you to everybody that supports the channel. Thank you to everybody who hits a like. I really appreciate you guys. My thumb clicking join space 43 times per minute. Yeah, right. All right, let's look at Elon. Live conversation at 8. There appears to be a massive DDoS attack on X. Working on shutting it down. Worst case, we will proceed with a small number of live listeners. Okay, we're getting it back, guys. It is a DDoS. Thank you, guys. You guys are great, man. You guys do so much work for me. I owe you. I owe you. I'm going to have a couple of you guys on here sometime. All right, so that's what it is. It's a DDoS attack. Let's wait for Elon to tell us what's happening with it. All right, that explains it. So we might not get in live ourselves, but since my buddies are in, that's probably going to be our window, okay? I Tesla Boomer Mama, I love her so much. She's such a sweetie. I know I've said that a bunch of times. All right, so we'll just hang out. Yeah, so again, I have some big problems with the narrative that Bitcoin is going to be fine, or the U.S. will be fine if we allow a socialist to take power of our country. Look at the UK, okay? That's an example of this. And do you know how fine it is for people in the UK who are getting 30 months in prison because they retweeted a meme that people didn't like? That's the future we're looking at facing if we allow somebody like Kamala Harris, because our buddy, Tim Waltz, has already said that's where he's leaning. He said he doesn't believe in freedom of speech if it's freedom of misinformation. What do you think that means? That's the exact same type of thing where we have the European Union trying to shut Elon down. And we have the UK trying to shut X down. Because they want to be able to control the narrative. They are the speakers of truth. They are 1984. They are George. They're Orwellian as you get. And the irony about that, of the Orwellianness of the UK, is the fact that that's where it took place, right? It was supposed to be in the UK. And that's where it is today. And we might have it here if we let somebody in who knows nothing about economics. And for you people who joined a little later, I just want to show you a couple of things real quick here. And I do want to say this. J.D. Vance is amazing. If you guys haven't heard him, you need to. He's amazing. But here is Kamala Harris just a little bit ago. I posted this. Kamala was the border czar. We know that, right? Trump told us that. Or I'm sorry, Biden told us that, and then we have things like Axios and all these liberal sites that said that she was the border czar years ago. Then we were told she wasn't the border czar by some of those same sites. This week, she was going to crack down on illegal immigration. I listened to this in speeches. I listened to this in her advertisements. She even had the audacity to say that she was tougher on the border than Donald Trump, and that the only reason the border is chaos right now is because in the last couple of months they've tried to pass some bills to tighten up things, but Trump evidently said don't do it and hold off to the election. Here's the deal. You had over 3 years to do this. You did the exact opposite. Kamala Harris didn't even go to the border. She's never been to our border. And now she's talking about emptying out the detention centers and letting people go that are in there for a reason. Listen to this. This is today.
name's Sally Hartman. I'm a volunteer with the Center for Worker Justice. I want to know, when you become president, would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one. On day one. Please, and thank you for your question here.
So on day one, this woman's going to close the detention centers where we put the bad people that cross over the border. V for Vendetta is coming true. Right, Rhett? It kind of feels like it is, right? If somebody wants to talk and chat, you have to be a member. Like the cheap thing is $1.99 a month. If you want to support my work, you can do that, and then you can talk to us. All right, I'm going to keep sifting through here. It looks like we're still in chat mode because I see Alexandra talking.
That all agencies had now.
Okay, so she's still chatting up a storm. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed the rest of X is still working from a DDoS attack and potentially millions of people trying to join. Yeah, no doubt. Rhett, per Elon, there seems to... Okay, that was that. Everybody talking about DDoS attacks. Check Elon's post. I did all that. Bro, you're the man. Thank you, Sean. Master the game. I hope Elon brings up the UK issues with Trump in this combo. That's got to happen, right? Like, that's a must. And maybe Bangladesh, too. Let's not forget about all the Hindus that are getting murdered, right? That's probably something we should be talking about, too. All right. Oh, Jax, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. If somebody wants to be able to talk and chat, you have your opportunity. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you for doing that. You guys are so great to me, man. It means a lot. MN Hoddle says, I'm in Minneapolis. That's all true. It was terrifying. It's still not the same as it was. It is shit. I probably shouldn't say that, but it sucks, man. I love that city. I want it to be better than it is, but it's been completely mismanaged. And during that time, Waltz has destroyed the surplus of like 20 billion or something, whatever the number was that they had is gone, and he's raising taxes. So if that's the America you want, man, this is your opportunity to have it. Vote Kamala Harris. Her doing bad will be good for crypto. That's my thesis. So if you haven't noticed, guys, I've got Bitcoin sitting down over here. I got a feeling, here's my hunch, and we're testing it live, that if Trump does well, let's say even this stream kicks off, we're probably going up to 60. Maybe right up here. And then if he does well in it, and they can speak intelligently and have a really good dialogue and conversation, and Trump comes off like in the All In podcast where he was personable, courteous, well-mannered, and with clear messaging, then it's going to be amazing. If he doesn't do that, and he does this, my rally was bigger than her rally, they're using AI to show how big it is, and he talks about things that don't matter, then that's a missed opportunity, and I feel really bad for all the people that want a better world. Let's go. Is it up? Let me see.
If worst case scenario.
Nope. But hopefully we get the first one. We get the Trump. Oh, what's happening?
Hi, my name's Sally Hartman.
I thought for a second we got into the stream. I was getting so excited. Let me go back to Elon's post here and just see. But I really hope we get a good Trump, a humble Trump, a Trump that is working hard to let people know who he really is. Because I think when you really get to know him, he's not horrible. I used to hate him. We tested the system with 8 million concurrent listeners earlier today. 8 million. That seems like a lot. So just that what they should do, they should limit the number of people. They should let like 3 million in and then hard stop it. Numbers are climbing now, 237K. 237K is not 8 million. She was a disaster as a California attorney. Dude, I played so many. I've done a couple of other political videos. If you guys saw them, we went over a lot of that stuff. Complete hypocrisy. She basically used people as slaves past their sentence time frame. So like you're supposed to be in there for 6 years. She would keep them in there longer. They knew that there were issues with some of the drug testing that was being done while they were in prison. And they used that to be able to do that. It is nuts. It's nuts what they did to prisoners. imprisoning people for things like marijuana, which is just a worthless thing. It's crazy. And then at the same time, this lady has the audacity to have a post on X telling people to donate to allow people to get bailed out. Is it actually going, Rhett? Is it going though? To bail out people that were at the Minneapolis protests and burnt down all the buildings I just showed you, right? So that's okay. That's cool. We don't mind that at all. I don't know. I want a better America, man. I want one like the place I grew up in. And I don't mind diversity. My wife is from Panama. You know, I don't mind diversity at all. I love it. I love her family down there. But what I want is a functional democracy that provides opportunity equally for people. Not equity for people, but equality of opportunity, where everybody, because the economy is great and we live in a great place, has the opportunity to better their lives. 559,000 listeners. It looks like it's going up. Hopefully that's a good thing. I'm going to kill this other window. I'm going to see what's going on under here.
Him, and they agree. So if that's the case, then yeah.
All right, still waiting. I will try again. What the heck? Why not? I like abuse. That's why I'm on X. That's why I'm in finance. That's why I'm talking politics. All right. Let's see what we do. Oh, dude. What? All right. How do I kill the audio on this? Well, this shouldn't be copyright stuff anyway, right? One would think. I'm going to kill this. Do you guys hear that audio, or is it down now for you? It should be down pretty low. Yeah, she's such an idiot, Jax. I need to figure out, this audio is so weird. I don't like... Let me see if I can turn this. Oh, there we go. There we go. Can you guys still hear me clearly? I'm trying to play around with audio. It's good. It's pretty low. Okay. I'm trying to get it. I'm going to turn this down. Yeah, that's probably not helping. This is probably helping. So I'll turn this down. Audio works on my phone, not computer. Okay, so I'm in. Elon Musk is on mute. Trump is playing audio. But we're in, guys. There's 750,000 other listeners. So, I don't know. This is getting pretty good. We might actually have this happen tonight. Real quick. I'm going to leave this going, and I'm going to get some coffee. I think I'm going to need it. Just 1 second. Be right back. All right, I sent the wife on an objective to get me coffee, so we're good. If I'm going to wait, I'm going to need to get juiced up. You're only hearing me? Okay, good. I got this thing turned down quite a bit. You might hear a faint little noise, maybe. I'm just trying not to jam it out too loud. Oh, it'll be nice to hear him not get asked targeted questions meant to take him fully in defense. Yeah, because when he gets in defense mode, I don't think he's at his prime. I totally agree with that. Then it turns into like the aggressive pit bull from, New York. That's totally real. But, at least we're in. At least we're in. I'm going to jump over. So we got the audio playing on this. I'm just going to check X out. I do want to show some other things while we're waiting. I just want to show the atrocity that is Kamala Harris. Oh. What just happened? Oh, did I get booted because I did that? You're already in a space. What? Am I in a space? Oh, I am. Oh, I see. It's down here. All right. I'm still in it. Let me see this. I'm going to turn this up. Doesn't seem like I have the audio, though. How do I get back to that? It's like in my bottom screen. You cannot join a space because you're in it. I get that. I see it. It's like before I could hear the audio. Now I can't. Why? If I go into here, does it... All right, I'm going to leave and go back in because I don't know what the heck is going on here. Jiminy Christmas. What a disgrace. What happened here? Did the Washington Post reporter just ask the press secretary if the Biden regime could intervene to stop Trump's interview? What? What? You are kidding me. How? That's insane. The audio stopped for you too? Oh, okay. So I'm not crazy. This is just what it is. Oh, you're right. He's muted. Okay. Donald Trump is muted. So I am in the space. Okay, cool. Cool. So we're still in it. It's down here in the corner. Trump is muted. Picture in picture. I don't want picture in picture. I want like the full screen. How do I do that? It's down at the bottom, but I want to click in it. Ah, there we go. Okay. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Oh, I see. Now, let's get back to this. We're going to listen to this real quick. This is crazy. Let's see what they're talking about here. 1 second. I'm going to turn the audio back up.
Elon Musk is slated to interview Donald Trump tonight on X. I don't know if the president is going to tune in. Feel free to say if he is or not. But I think that misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that, or stopping the spread of that, or sort of intervening in that? Some of that was about campaign misinformation, but it's a wider thing, right?
Yeah, no, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here, about the responsibilities that social media platforms have when it comes to misinformation, disinformation. Don't have anything to read out from here about specific ways that we're working on it, but we believe that they have the responsibility. These are private companies, so we're also mindful of that too. But look, it is. I think it is incredibly important to call that out as you're doing. I just don't have any specifics on what we have been doing internally as it relates to the interviews, and that's something that I'm tracking, and I'm sure the president's not tracking it either.
Wow. So now we don't just theoretically have the European Union wanting to censor Donald Trump, but now we have White House reporters asking our government if they'll do it. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing, guys? Like, if you look at this objectively, can you understand what I'm saying? That it's frightening when you have your rulers. Hey, hon, can you... 1 second. Coffee break. It's frightening when you have your rulers getting to decide what is truth and what isn't. I hope everybody can understand that. That's not good for America. That's not good for freedom. It's not what our forefathers had in mind, and it's just sad. It's sad that this is even a conversation that we're having. I just can't believe it. All right, so let's see. We're still waiting. It does seem like, again, we're making progress, right? We got almost 1 million listeners. We have 131,000 comments. We're definitely dialing up, and they're starting to figure this out. It's just a matter of getting it to work. Let's see if Elon has anything new. So it looks like the deep state, maybe the European Union is performing a hacking attack to try and prevent Donald Trump from being able to speak tonight. Maybe that's their backup plan, right? Oh, I didn't want to do that. I want to go to your page and see if you have any updated information. Nope, nothing in the last 12 minutes. We're still waiting there. 7:40 right now. We are 40 minutes into this. I'm in. Don't kick me out. Let's go. Nice. I do think we're making progress, though. It's just a matter of getting this to work. Like, just getting it to where it's on and that we don't have to worry about anybody sending it over a threshold where it locks up. If you guys were here for the DeSantis debate, it was a freaking nightmare. where he was doing an interview with him. It was a nightmare. But I think the system is already working substantially better, and there was a lot less volume with DeSantis going in than what we're looking at right now. I know this is a little more. Have you guys seen my new mug? It like my Cybertruck, it doesn't clean very well, but it's my Tesla Cyber mug. I got a bunch of swag from these guys, and I love it, especially with a little creamer. All right, let me read comments here. Trump is muted. The audio stopped. Yep. Elon was coasted. Yeah, he dropped out, but now he's back, and they're both muted. Misinformation, aka information they don't agree with. That's it, man. It's you can't have powers above you that to decide what is true. Community notes is what does that. And if you guys have used X, you know how well it works. And it makes everybody from Elon Musk to Donald Trump to Joe Biden accountable for their actions. And that is something we can be proud of in the X community. And so when people are talking about misinformation on X, they're letting you know they don't use it and or they don't care. They're just purposely pushing an agenda. Lightning Network on X would be fire. Dude, I'd love that. And that should happen. There's been companies that have done stuff like that. But really, we need to see more integration.
All right, hello everyone. My apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack against our servers, and saturated all of our data lines. Like basically hundreds of gigabits of data were saturated. We think we've overcome most of that, and so it's now time to proceed. But as this massive attack illustrates, there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say, and but I'm honored to have this conversation. I want to emphasize it's a conversation, and it's really intended to just get a feel for what Donald Trump is just like in a conversation. It's hard to catch a vibe about someone if you just don't hear them talk in a normal way. And when there's an adversarial interview, like no one's themselves in an adversarial interview. And this is really aimed at kind of open-minded, independent voters who just trying to make up their mind. So you can understand like what is what is it just like to have a conversation. So honored to Donald, great to speak.
Please hit the like,
we had
guys.
a great conversation yesterday. As you mentioned yesterday, if we could just record that conversation and post it, it would have been excellent. And I hope we can have something like that today.
Well, I think we will. I'm pretty sure we will. And congratulations, because I see you broke every record in the book with so many millions of people, and it's an honor. We view that as an honor. And then you do want silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive, oftentimes constructive. And so we have to consider it an honor. But congratulations on breaking every record in the book tonight. That's great.
Well, thank you. Well, I mean, maybe we could start off with, the assassination attempt, which was an incredible thing. And I have to say that, your actions after that assassination attempt were inspiring. You, instead of shying away from things, instead of ducking down, you were pumping your fist in the air and saying, fight, fight, fight. And I think that's, the president of the United States represents America, and I think that is America. That is strength under fire, and so that's a big part of the reason why I was excited to endorse you as the president of the United States for having another term here. Is that was just incredibly inspiring. But what was it like for you?
Not pleasant, I have to be honest. I said there was blood. I had more blood. I didn't know I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about. because it went at the right angle, and it was a hard hit. It was very, I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. I was telling somebody you have instances like this, or like a lot less than this, where you feel it's a surreal situation, and I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear,
Yeah.
and because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, "Bullets, bullets!" Get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly, and we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter, and so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was
Yeah.
for those
Split
people that
second.
don't believe in God. I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer now. I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect
Yeah.
angle, and all because I put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great. I love that chart
I
even
mean,
more
maybe it's
now
a
than I
sign.
ever.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's a sign, you know.
it's an immigration sign.
You
But
highlighted a serious issue, and
yeah,
at that moment,
that's right.
the bullet missed hit your ear, but missed your head. I mean,
Well, the amazing thing is that the sign. I said, bring down that sign on immigration, and it was literally about an eighth of a second where it would be good, and after that it was going to
yeah,
be a disaster, no matter which way you were facing. But it just had that perfect angle, which was
yeah,
exactly at this shooter. Very sad situation. Such a sad situation. As you know, we lost somebody that was great, Corey,
yeah,
who, a firefighter, a great gentleman, a great trumper. He was just a fantastic family and a fantastic man. And a friend of mine came up, Elon, and said, "I'd like to give the family some kind of help." And I said, "All right, that's great." He said, "Do you mind?" I said, "I don't mind at all." And he wrote out a check for $1 million, gave it to the wife. And, you know, uh, she said, "This is really nice, but I'd rather have my husband back," which is a nice thing for
sure,
somebody to say, to be honest. She's great. The family is great. And we raised a lot of
yeah,
money for them and for two other gentlemen are unbelievable people also. They were hit really badly. They thought they were not going to make it, and they did. The doctors in the Butler area, I tell you, they were incredible. They saved the two, and they were really hit tough, both of them
yeah,
equally. And we thought
yeah,
my first question was, because I heard bullets flying over me, and I said, "How many people were killed?" Because we had a massive crowd there, a tremendous
yeah,
thousands and thousands of people, and there was no land. I mean, it was all people. So I said, "How many people have been killed?" Because I knew there were other shots being fired,
sure,
and they said, "We don't know yet, but some people have been badly hurt." And I have to give the Secret Service sniper, they call him, or sharpshooter, but sniper,
yeah,
because he didn't know there was a problem. He's an extraordinary shot, obviously, and he didn't know there was a problem, and he was
yeah,
able to pick it all out within 5 seconds. And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards. The shooter was 130, but
yeah,
he was on the opposite side of the field and the podium, and he saw the smoke and the flame from the gun, immediately recognized it, and immediately took a shot. And it was one perfect shot from very far away. And if he didn't do
yeah,
that, Elon, he would have. I mean, if he would have, a lot of people, a lot more people could have
sure,
been badly hurt and killed. So
yeah,
I have to
absolutely,
take my hat off to him, because that's also a surreal. He's been with them for 23 years, and
yeah,
he's never had anything like this. And all of a sudden, he has to act, and it's a very tough thing to
sure,
act and to be shooting somebody. But he saw the gun, saw the smoke, saw the flame from the gun, very far away. I obviously has very good eyes. He's got very good vision, which I assume you have
yeah,
to have in that particular work. But he took
absolutely,
aim very quickly, and they say it was approximately 5 seconds from long range,
yeah,
one bullet. if that didn't happen,
Yeah,
because the shooter had a lot of bullets. He had a lot of cartridges up
sure.
there with him, so could
Well,
have been brave.
I mean that's clearly he was very confident in taking that shot to stop the attempted assassination. But I mean, there does seem to be, I mean, some pretty significant failings elsewhere in the system. Like, there's just no way that, like, how on earth does a shooter get on a roof 130 yards away? That seems crazy. I think most people people are wondering how on earth could such a thing happen?
Well, I view it as two ways. There should have been nobody on the roof. There were people,
Yeah,
because there were so many tens of thousands of people there. There were people that were seeing him, and there was one woman with a red shirt and
right.
Trump all over
I
it,
saw
and
the video.
she's screaming, "That guy's got a gun!" You saw it probably. There's
Yeah.
a
No, I
guy
saw
up
the
there
videos.
with a
I
gun.
mean,
So.
it's like I guess, I mean, for my part, and I think probably many members of the public are wondering how the heck are, you know, basically people wondering by it, pointing out there's a guy on the roof with a gun,
Yeah.
and they're seeing it, but somehow it's not being addressed. That does seem
Yeah,
crazy.
well, they're going to learn from this. The communication between the local police, who sort of had an idea, and then ultimately a man lifted himself up to the roof, could barely do it because he was pulling himself up, and
Yeah,
he saw the man with the gun. The man with the gun pointed the gun at him. He thought he was probably going to get shot, but he was like pulling himself up, and because of that, he couldn't get to his gun, and he fell down. Actually, very badly hurt his leg, his ankle. I hear very badly, but
okay.
he fell down, and he did. From what I understand, he did say there's a guy up there with a gun, and the shooting started very quickly after that. I think it forced the shooter to go maybe quicker. He was supposed to be a very good shot.
Yeah,
My sons, Don and Eric, they can't believe what happened, but they said from 130 yards, a bad shot would hit that target almost every time. They said it's like in golf,
yeah,
sinking a 2-foot putt.
yeah. It's not a tough
No,
shot.
it's not a
Um,
long shot. The Secret Service person had the long shot. He had triple the
yeah,
distance actually. So it was a terrible thing. Look, it's hard. I have to say this about the Secret Service. When I went down, and I went down based on, I think, they're screaming, but other people also, because people saw this happen. You had so many people. One of the miracles was that nobody ran. I mean, if a gun goes off, the crowd
yeah,
control people showed us this. When guns go off, and it does happen in stadiums at a soccer match or some kind of a match, everybody flees. They call it a stampede, like cattle. But everybody, and a lot of
yeah.
people get killed with those stampedes. We had
Sure.
more people than you'd have at some of these matches or these games, and nobody left. You had a small group behind us in the grandstand, and that was full. And you look at it as it was taking place, and normally they'd be running. They didn't leave. They saw that I was hurt. They saw a lot of blood, and they saw that I went down. And it's almost like they wanted to be with me. Well, out front, you had thousands, tens of thousands of people. As far as the eye could see, you had people in Butler, as far as the eye could see, and
Yeah,
and a lot of press too. There were many cameras on watching this. It's what makes it so different, because normally things happen that aren't good, but you never have a picture of it. Here we have all these cameras shooting it, so
yeah,
sort of amazing. But one of the interesting things was that you didn't have anybody flee. You didn't have anybody stampede.
sure.
Nobody. And there were some people behind me. They stood up and they're looking like, I mean, I'll tell you,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to have them in a foxhole with you. I want to meet some of those people,
Sure,
because
sure.
it's so different from what you heard. But so I was down. But the Secret Service
Yeah,
guys, there were bullets flying right over my head. You could hear them go whizzing,
yeah,
and these guys came jumping on top of me, and a young lady, Kate, uh, would jump. They moved so fast, and let me tell you, that took tremendous courage. Now there was a lack of coordination. There was, obviously everybody understands that somebody that building should have been covered, and
Yeah, I mean,
that was
I
the
think
big
that
thing.
like, I mean, looking at the aerial views, that building would be like the number one spot for a sniper. I mean, it's like the if you were to pick like what is the favorite place, what if you so if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building, the
You're
roof of that
right.
building would be number one.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for a better
No,
location. It's like number
no, that
one.
would have been the spot.
Um,
You know what people think
yeah,
is when the local policeman, who, by the way, he really he did what he was supposed to do. He couldn't hold on any longer. And then when he got
yeah,
his head just peeking above, this guy standing there with a gun at his head. And when he fell down, again, hurt his ankle very badly, but he was making the calls. But what happened is the firing took place very soon. So what they
yeah,
think is that this guy ran to his site, which he had all planned out with the gun. He ran to the site and he started shooting fast. And maybe that's why he sort of missed. I mean, he uh,
yeah. But
he
as you
got
said,
me, but
he
it
would have
could have
hit.
been
I mean,
could have been a much
yeah.
bigger problem.
He- But he totally would have hit if you hadn't turned your head. So like there was it was a very near
It
thing.
was a
So
miracle. If I hadn't
um,
turned my head,
yeah,
I would not be talking to you right now. As much as I like you,
exactly.
I would not.
Yeah,
I would
well,
not be talking to you.
maybe talking to me from another realm, perhaps.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. We'd be talking from a
so
different place. But it was a very terrible experience. The Butler Hospital, they did such a great job. The doctors were so good. Everybody was so good. There was a mistake. If somebody knew, because people were hearing that, there was just a bad feeling that there was somebody was around. You know that story now. It's been pretty
yeah,
well.
yeah,
And
yeah,
if somebody could have said, because they've oftentimes said, like there'd be a lightning storm or something. Because I've done, I think over 300. I think I did a lot more than that, but we did a lot. And oftentimes they'll say, "Sir, could you wait 10 minutes, please? Sir, could you wait 20 minutes? There's a storm overhead or lightning or something," right? And
yeah,
that happens
yeah,
often. And this would have been a perfect time for that to have happened, but it
yeah.
didn't get coordinated. That was the problem.
Well, it was your I think your actions in the heat of fire, and like what I find admirable there was that you can't fake bravery under such circumstances. The courage is instinctual or it is not. It's not a rehearsed action. And so I just want to say
Agreed.
that I think a lot of people admire your courage under fire there. And
Well,
yeah, so
thank you very
yeah,
much. I appreciate it. I didn't think of it. I just wanted to get up and I wanted to stand up. I wanted to let people know, I felt I was good when they were on top of me, covering me, actually, very much covering me and very bravely. But I wanted to get up. I said, I want to get up. And they wanted, they have everything there. They wanted stretcher. I didn't like the stretcher. And I knew I was hit in the ear, but I knew I wasn't hit anywhere else. They felt I was hit someplace else
yeah,
because it was such a lot of blood, and they were sure that I was hit someplace else. And they were saying, "Sir, you were hit in more than the ear." I said, "Nope, I was hit in the ear. I want to get up. Let me get up." And so I got up, and the crowd didn't know what to think. I mean, this was so many people, and you could see they were confused. They didn't know what to think, and I wanted to let them know I was okay. It was very important for me to let them
yeah,
know that, and they went wild. You've seen the after. They didn't go wild when I
yeah,
got up because they didn't know, was I alive. You really couldn't tell when I stood up before the fist in the air. Uh, they didn't know if I was alive. Nobody did, and when I put the fist up, they were just relieved and happy and thrilled, and the place went crazy. It was pretty amazing.
yeah.
It was a
Well,
terrible thing, but it
it
was
was
really nice.
incredibly moving. Yeah. Um, well, and I mean, speaking of the sort of slide that got you to turn that saved your life, really, was the illegal immigration
Right,
slide. Maybe this,
that's right.
maybe this is worth talking about that,
It
since
was. It was.
that slide
You're
saved your
right.
life,
No,
basically.
the illegal immigration saved my life. You're right, but I
I
had to
know
be at
that's
that exact angle.
I mean, that's a great one. Saved by illegal
You know
immigration.
the incredible
100%.
thing though, when you talk about the odds, you had to be exactly at that angle. But the incredible
Yeah,
thing is that the chart I used it less than 20% of the time. It was just a moment.
yeah,
It's always on my left, never my right, and it's always at the end of the speech. So here
Yeah,
we have it. It's on the right, not the left. It's at the beginning, not the end. And even the people that put it up, they were unprepared, and they did a great job. They got it up immediately, fortunately. But I looked to the right, and the bullet came whizzing by, hitting my ear. So it was
Yeah,
amazing. But
Bitcoin
when
seems
you
to be
think of
liking
the odds
this.
of that, and
yeah, yeah,
you know that normally you wouldn't use it. Normally I wouldn't have the thing, and then it would
yeah.
have been a very different story. It's very much I I say an act of God. It's a miracle that it happened, and I'm
Sure.
honored by it. I'm honored by it.
Well,
Good answer.
well, what were you about to say about illegal immigration before you were rudely interrupted with a
Well, I was
bullet?
going to
There
say
you
how
go.
good the numbers were. By the way, we're going back to Butler, and we're going to go
Great.
What?
back in October. We're all set up,
He's gonna
and
go back to the
the
place he
people
got
are
shot.
fantastic in Butler. It's a great area. Great, these are incredible people. Like the three that, in the case of Corey, killed, and the other two, the families are. I got to know them a little bit, and the families are great. But we're going back to Butler, and I think I'll probably start by saying, as I was saying,
As you were
prior to
saying,
being
exactly.
so
So,
horribly interrupted.
yeah,
But
yeah. So rudely interrupted by an
yeah,
assassination
so it was.
attempt.
But no, but the chart,
Some people have no manners.
Elon, the chart was just a chart that in my last week we had the best illegal immigration numbers, meaning stopping. It was at the lowest. You've seen the chart. It's become quite a famous
Yeah,
chart,
yeah,
but that was the lowest
yeah.
point ever recorded. It was a really, I mean, I was very proud of those numbers. And then you see what happened with these people, Kamala and Joe. You see what happened. They just let it go. I had remain in Mexico policies. I had all these different policies that was so good. Uh, Guys like Tom Holman and Brandon Judd from Border Patrol. All these are all people that they've been on television. They says the best numbers we've ever had. We had so many different checks, catch and release in Mexico, not the United. We had catch and release in the United States. We had it in Mexico. We had so many things. We had things where if people, many people come in there, they have contagious diseases. We had everything passed. If you have a contagious disease, I'm sorry, but we cannot allow you into the country. So we were setting
Yeah,
literally records, and I all I was doing is showing that, and I use it sometimes,
sure.
and in this case, I'm glad I used it. I can tell you that, but they were fantastic numbers. But I'm going to sleep with that chart always. I'll be sleeping with that chart. That chart was very important for a lot of reasons.
Well, I mean, would it be accurate to say that you're supportive of legal immigration, but we also need to shut down illegal immigration, and especially unvetted illegal
Yes,
immigration, because and that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell the difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. Does that accurately
100%.
represent your position?
I say it
Okay.
very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked
Yeah.
because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's
Yeah.
saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. Uh, no tax on tips, and all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents, and many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this
Yes.
on tips.
Speak to
They
that.
have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you, and were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible, and I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake. Now they're also saying they did a good job on the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too, you hear 12
Yeah.
million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country,
Yeah.
many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or A bigger version of that is
Yeah.
insane
Released
asylums,
from Venezuelan
and
prisons.
many are
That's
terrorists.
true.
And I'll tell you what, they're coming not just from South America, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from all
Yep,
over the world. They're coming from Asia,
that's true.
they're
Yeah.
coming from the Middle East, they're coming from countries that are uh, stupidly and horribly bombing Israel October 7th. They're coming from all over the world. And you know, you look at it's so sad October 7th because it should have never happened.
Yeah.
It's so sad when
Sure.
you look at Ukraine. It should have never happened.
Agreed.
We have a defective
Yeah.
government. These are defective people,
We looked
and
weak
they're not
after
people that should be
Afghanistan.
running it. But where you see
Agreed.
it the best is the border, because you have millions of people coming in a month, and then she gets up and she tries to pretend like she's going to do something. She had 3.5 years. And by the way, they have another 5 months that they can do something, but they
Yeah.
won't do anything. It's all talk. She's
No.
incompetent and he's incompetent. And frankly, I think that
She
she's
won't.
more incompetent than he is. And that's saying something because he's not too good.
Yeah. No, I think it is essential to have a secure border. I mean, you're really not a country unless you have a
Correct.
secure border. And
And
uh,
secure elections,
you
too.
know, yeah, absolutely secure elections. And so it's just essential to have a real border, or we can't function as a country, and our service, our central services are being overwhelmed in a lot of cities. Um, and as we were talking about earlier, I think having a legal immigration process that is smooth and efficient and done well, and speaking as someone who is a legal immigrant, and I think I mean, like one way to think of it is, who do you want on your team? Um, who do you want on Team America? And I think we want to just say, okay, we want to let in people who are gonna, be great contributors to our society and to our economy,
Right.
and who do you want on the team? And it's not to say that, like in my opinion, actually, I'd say like probably most of the illegal immigrants actually are actually good, hardworking people. That's my opinion. But some are not, and you just have this sort of adverse selection process where, if somebody's if somebody's like you know, um, uh, has a career in theft or robbery, I don't understand what's
Why are
taking
they
them so
here?
long to get here.
Yep.
Because we're
Agreed.
such a target-rich environment. Um, I mean, why aren't more people who have a career in, bad things coming here sooner? Because I mean, it's a
It's an
piece of cake to go
opportunity.
rob,
You can go to
houses
New
in
York,
LA or New
California. You could
York,
steal up to
compared to other
$1,000 a
parts of the world.
store.
And and
It's true.
in a lot of places in America, if you try to stop the person who's robbing you,
Yep.
you'll be arrested.
Yeah.
Preach it.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
insane.
it's right. I mean, what's happening with crime, and our police are so good, but they're not allowed to do their job. But I have to tell you, Elon, I
They're
hate
not.
to say it because it's such a downer to say it. I hate to say it. I hate it. But uh, f- you have a lot of people that just shouldn't be. I think it's a much bigger number than you think. They're
I
allowing
think you're
again.
right.
They're
Yeah.
allowing people from their jails. And if you were running one of these countries where they're coming from, you would have had all of them. As an example, Venezuela, their crime is down 72%. They're taking their drug dealers. They're taking, frankly, their prisoners. They're emptying out their prisons. They're taking their criminals, their murderers, their rapists, and
Yep.
they're
Yeah.
delivering them into
But
the.
that's what Castro did
Yeah,
that.
well, he did on a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
It was a much smaller
Yeah.
scale. But this is a massive scale because this is being done worldwide. But here's what's happening: crime all over the world is down. And wait till you see the numbers that we have. You know, this is migrant crime. This is crime that's going to be.
Yeah.
And I saw it today in New York where somebody was knifed with raped the girlfriend of a man that stood there watching in New York in one of the shelters, and started
Sure.
pulling out the knives, and bad things happened today. But this is happening every day. These are rough people. These are people that are in jail for
Yeah.
murder and all sorts of things, and they're releasing them into our country, and they're telling them, if you come back, we're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you. So they don't want to come back. But these are rough people.
Yeah.
These are criminals that make our criminals look like nice people, and it's horrible what they're doing. and she's in charge of it because now she's trying to say she
Sure.
had nothing to do with it, and she's such a liar because she was called the border czar the first day, and it was on the headlines of every newspaper. She's the border czar, and she never even went there. She went to one location which
Not
had
even
nothing to do
once.
with where the problem is.
Not
She
even
went in and
once.
out, I
Right.
guess, because she was getting a lot of pressure,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
had nothing to do where the problem
yeah.
is. But she was
Well,
the
well,
border czar, and the people
yeah, yeah,
can't allow them to get away with their disinformation campaign. Now she's trying to say that she wasn't really involved, and the whole thing is horrible. She was totally in charge. She could have shut the border down without him. He didn't know what he was doing anyway, so he wouldn't have even known
yeah,
what happened. You could shut the border down; he
yeah,
wouldn't even know the difference. But uh, the fact is that she was border czar. But if you don't have to call her
yes.
that, the fact is you could just call her. She was in charge of the border, and the border was the worst
Right.
ever.
It's simply not working.
No,
It's
it's
I mean
horrible.
whether it's a question of intention or competence. Either way, we don't have a secure border, and we have people streaming over like it looks like a World War Z zombie apocalypse at times. And sometimes you got to sort of wonder, like, is it real or not? So because you see things, you're like, is it real? So I went to the border at Eagle Pass, and I saw for myself in Texas, and I was like, okay, it's real. I'm like seeing this in real time. I actually posted the video like just live. I just flew there one day and just to see, hey, is this made up or real? And I'm just seeing people stream across the border, and I have to say, at least the people that I saw did not look friendly. So
These are
people
people.
can look at my video and say, hey,
Yeah.
does these people look friendly? I don't look super friendly. So,
These are people that
um,
Elon would not be the same man if he had to walk across the street and look these people in the eye. These are rough people. These are really rough people coming across. And I know rough people. And these are people that we don't want in our country. And the caravans are coming in and they're putting and who's doing this are the heads of the countries. And you would be doing
yeah,
it, and so would I. And everyone would say, oh, what a terrible thing to say. The fact is, it's brilliant for them because they're taking all of their
Yep.
bad people, really
Getting rid
bad
of them.
people. And I hate to say
Here's a
this,
free ticket to
the
America.
reason the numbers are much bigger than you would think is they're also taking their non-productive people. Now, these aren't people that will kill you. We have enough of them, but these are people that are non-productive. They are just not productive. I mean, for whatever reason, they're not
yeah, yeah,
workers or they don't want to work or whatever. And these countries are getting rid of non-productive people in the caravans in many cases, and they're also getting rid of their murderers and their drug dealers and the people that are
yeah,
really brutal people. And they're coming into our country
yeah,
at levels that have never been seen before. And I saw an ad just before I got on the air. I'm walking over here, and I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide border security. Where has she been for 3.5 years? For 3.5 years,
yeah. No, no.
we have 20 million people
I
poured
think
in.
is
It's a terrible
Yeah, I
thing.
think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years, it's going to be even worse than it's been for the past, 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country
You don't have
left
a country
at that
left.
point.
Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. We think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, the four. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from
Yeah,
everywhere. And I had to stay in
yeah, I think
Mexico.
this is a super important
Yeah.
point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico. To be
No,
clear,
Mexico
it's
less,
it's just it's just
less
it's
than
just the
the others.
border. It's just the border with Mexico, but the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth,
Is
and
funneling
and
into our
America
country.
is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in the
We're
U.S.
already
So.
overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed. You had to see the news tonight about New York. New York, and I love that place, and what they're doing to it is horrible, what they're doing to it. And all the courts do is they
Yeah.
try and focus on Trump. Okay, then let's focus on Trump, who did nothing wrong. I complain about a rigged election. Elon, what's happened is unbelievable. You have from Africa From the Congo, they're coming from the Congo, and 22 people came in from the Congo recently, and they're murderers, and they dropped them. They drop them. They take them out of jails, which is very expensive, to maintain the jails. Although they don't do too much maintaining, I can tell you. But they take them out of jails, prisons. They take them out and they bring them to the United States. They deposit them in the United States and say, "Don't ever come back, or you're going to be executed." And they don't want to come back, but they won't come back.
Sure.
But they're coming from Africa. They're coming from Asia. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from South
Well,
America.
just
They're
Earth,
coming from
rest of Earth,
everywhere,
basically.
and there are a lot of
Yeah,
really
everywhere on
bad
Earth.
ones.
It's just an everywhere on Earth thing, and it's just not possible for the United States to absorb everyone from Earth, or even a few percent of the rest of Earth. It's just not possible.
Well,
So
Elon, we're going to have just to
yeah.
finish this up. We're going to have the largest deportation in history of this country, and we have no choice. Otherwise, we're going to have a country. What they've done to our country. Think of it, with in Venezuela and in some of these other countries, crime is down 50, 60, 70, 80%. And you would be the same. You would have.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you what, Venezuela has not gotten rid of all of them. They've gotten rid of about 70% of their really bad people. Their jails are about 50% put into the United States. Same with other countries. Some
sure.
are at 30%, some are at 50%. They're all different. But the bottom line is they're all going to be at 100%. Why wouldn't you put 100% of it?
Yeah,
And they're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. And, some people said, "Oh, gee, it's too bad. It's too bad he did so badly," or "I did well in the debate." The first night they said, "Wow." One of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance I've ever witnessed. And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different. Look,
yeah.
she hasn't done an
I mean,
interview since this
yeah,
whole scam started.
well,
And say what you want. This
yeah,
was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice
yeah.
way or we can do it the
No,
hard way.
yeah. No, I mean, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him.
What they did
Biden.
with this guy,
So
and I'm no
yeah,
Even
fan of
Biden
his, and he
says
was a
that.
horrible president, the worst president in history. And one of the reasons he was so bad, first of all, the Israeli attack would have never happened. Russia would never have attacked Ukraine, and we'd have no
Yeah,
inflation.
agreed.
And we wouldn't have had the Afghanistan mess, if you think of it.
well,
And we wouldn't have had
yeah,
Afghanistan. But we think of
Afghanistan,
it.
I think,
We
led
would. You
to
take a few
the
of those
invasion of
events away, and
Ukraine,
we have a different
which
world. We
led
would also have
to
no.
Hamas attacking
Inflation
yeah.
Israel.
was caused by oil.
Yeah, no. I think you make an excellent point here, which is that when other countries can, that are, are thinking about invading or doing bad things, when they're thinking about that, they're thinking about, okay, what's the American president going to do, and do they fear the American president, or is it someone they do not respect and do not fear?
Agreed.
And I think they do
Key point. Good
they
job,
would
Elon.
they rightfully be. I mean, look at the footage of the assassination. They're like, okay, uh, President Trump is like, don't mess with me. I mean, that's like, whereas I think people are not going to be, and they obviously have not been at all intimidated by Biden, and they certainly will not be intimidated by Kamala. And you have to really think of that in the context of global security. That if the American president is someone that, like, evil dictators are scared of,
Yes,
that makes
yes,
a
I agree with
huge
this statement.
difference to the security of the
If they
world.
think they
So
can
I
run
had a
her
good
over, they will.
relationship with Putin, despite the Russia hoax that lasted for over 2 years. Just a hoax created by Hillary Clinton and Adam Shifty Schiff, some just bad people, just sick people, frankly. I mean, Schiff is a sick person. He's going to end up probably being a senator. It's hard to believe. The whole thing is hard to believe. But, they put our country in danger with that stuff, too. They actually, when they make up stories, and you have to fight your way out of it for a long time. But I know Putin very well. I got along with him very well. He respected me, and it's just one of those things. And we would talk a lot about
Agreed, Rhett.
Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. I shut down Nord Stream 2. That was the big oil pipeline, the biggest pipeline in the world going all over Europe. I shut it down. Biden came, and then they say,
Yeah.
I loved Russia. I was a friend of Putin, and I loved Russia. No, he actually said to me one time, he said, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as an enemy. I shut down his pipeline, the biggest pipeline. They were looking at that to
Yeah.
fund, and this pathetic president gets in there, and the first thing he did, one of the early things he did, is he shut down. He shut down Keystone XL pipeline, which is our pipeline that would have employed 48,000 people, pipeline workers, shuts it down. That was,
Yeah, why do we
a
do that?
massive
Why are we
job
killing
that
energy in our own
Obama
country?
refused to allow.
Yeah.
I allowed it in my first week because it was jobs and it
Agreed,
moved oil.
RJ.
And by the way, in a much more environmentally friendly way. It's underground. It's not a truck that catches on fire or a train that catches on fire. But think of it. He shut down the uh, XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline. He
Yeah.
shuts that down
Just to appease
and
a bunch of
he approves the
protesters.
Russian pipeline,
Yeah, it doesn't make any
right?
sense.
It's
It's like
stupid.
it's inconsistent. Certainly, but I mean, I think it's just worth emphasizing to listeners that the immense importance of whether the United States president is intimidating or not intimidating, and how much that matters to global security, because there's some real tough characters out there, and if they don't think the American president is tough, they will do what they want to
I
do.
know every one of
And
them.
it puts the whole
Yeah.
world in danger.
Elon, I know every one
It's a
of them,
big
and I know
deal.
them well. I know
Yeah.
Putin. I know President Xi. I know Kim Jong Un of North Korea. I know every one of them. And let me tell you, people will say, "Oh, this is terrible." He said, "I'm not saying anything good or bad. They're at the top of their game. They're tough. They're smart. They're vicious, and they're going to protect their country. Whether they love their country, they probably do. It's just a different form of love, but they're going to protect their country. But these
Yeah.
are tough people at the top of their game. And when they see a Kamala or when they see Biden, Sleepy Joe, they can't even
Yeah.
believe it. They can't believe this
Yeah,
happened.
our
All the stuff
president
that you're seeing
almost
now, all
died
the
in
horror that
Vegas
you
a
look
month
at
ago,
Israel, they're all waiting for an attack
and it's still
from
running this
Iran.
country.
Iran would not be attacking, believe me. When I was there, and I say it with respect because I think we would have been good with
Yes,
Iran. I don't
Jane.
want to do anything bad
Yes.
to Iran, but they knew not to mess around. Iran was broke because I told China, if you buy from Iran oil, it's all about the oil. That's where the money is. But if you buy oil from Iran, you're not going to do any business with the United States. And I meant it. And they said, we'll
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah.
They didn't buy oil. Other countries, likewise,
Sure.
you want to buy, you're
Biden
not
just
doing
gave
business
them a
with the
bunch of
United
money and
States.
let them do
And
whatever they
they
wanted
were
to.
at a
Look how well
point where
that's worked out.
they had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for any of these instruments of terror. And it was amazing. In fact, there were articles when I was leaving, which is hard to believe, actually, especially when you look at what's happened to our country. Our country is so bad right now. It's such a different place. We were respected. Think of it. 4 years ago, we were so respected to a point where when I said don't buy oil, they didn't buy oil, but they had no
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
and Israel would have never been attacked. It is zero chance. And again, I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do, and he said, no way. And I said, way. And it's the last time we ever had the conversation. He would never have done. I got along well with him. I hope to get along well with him again. Getting along well with them is a good thing, not a bad thing. I got along well with Kim
Yeah.
Jong Un when I met with President Obama just before entering. It's a sort of a ritual. And I sat down with him and we talked. It was supposed to be for a very short period of time. It turned out to be a long period of time. I said, "What's the biggest problem?" He said, "North Korea." I had that problem worked out very quickly. It was nasty at the beginning with Rocket Man and all the different things,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden I
Those
got a
some those
call.
those some
Oh,
those were some epic tweets, by the way.
yeah, they
Those
were
were
no,
like
they were epic.
absolutely.
Everything he said that he has a red button on his desk. I said, I have a red button on my desk too, but my red button is much bigger, and my red button works. And then I called him Little
Yeah.
Rocket Man, if Little Rocket Man. Anyway, here's the bottom line. All of a sudden I got a call from him and they said they want to meet. They want to meet me. And we met,
Yeah.
as you remember, we met in Singapore. We met also in Vietnam. And I got along with them great. We were
Yeah.
in no danger. But
Yeah. It's
President
because
Obama thought
they
we were going to
respond.
end up in a
Yeah.
war, a nuclear war with him. And let me tell you, he's
Yeah.
got a
It's not
lot of
true.
nuclear
Yeah,
stuff too. He's
exactly.
got plenty of nuclear. He can do plenty of damage.
It's
So
yes. I mean, it's because I mean, people like Kim Jong Un, they respond to
yeah,
strength, not weakness.
well,
And if you
he and I
project
had a good
strength,
relationship.
you're good.
Remember, I
Yeah.
remember I met him and we walked onto his land. Nobody ever walked onto his land before. I walked onto. I wouldn't say.
Yeah,
Let's
that
bring
was
up
cool.
Secret Service again. I wouldn't say they were thrilled when I did that. I walked onto his land, and it was an amazing period. But we were not in danger with him because of me. You know, I always
Yeah.
say that we have enemies on the outside and we have enemies on the inside. We have some really bad people in our government
Uh-huh.
and people that are and controlling of the people. I mean, I'd mention names, but I really don't want to give them the credit. But we have some really bad, and I say they're more dangerous than Russia and China. If you have a smart president, a president that gets it, we are not in danger from those countries because they need us and they need our help. I mean, we forced Obama, if you think about it, Obama and Biden and Bush to a certain extent, in all fairness, forced Russia and China together. And if you're a history student, the first thing you learn is you cannot let Russia and China align. But then they also got, if you take a look, Iran, and they have North Korea. That's, they call it the axis of evil. In the old days, you had the axis of evil. Here we have a modern day axis of evil. These are powerful countries, very heavy nuclear, which is the biggest threat.
Yeah.
The biggest threat is not global warming, where the ocean's going to rise one
Yep.
eighth of an inch over the next
It's us
400 years.
destroying
And
ourselves
you'll have more
through a
oceanfront
nuclear
property, right?
apocalypse.
The biggest threat
Agreed.
is not that. The biggest threat is nuclear warming, because we have 5 countries
Well,
now that
yeah.
have significant nuclear power, and we have to not allow anything to happen with stupid people like Biden. Biden
Agreed.
did something with Russia. There was no chance of him ever going in. And when I left, and then after I left, they started forming big armies on the border with Ukraine, right? And I looked at that, and I thought he was doing that because Putin's a good negotiator. I thought he was doing that to negotiate. But then Biden started saying such stupid things. For instance, he said that it can be a NATO country. Now, Russia, for as long as there's been NATO, has said we're never going to agree to that. And we go right up front and say that. And we did things and said things through this president with a low IQ, very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things
Maybe.
that were so stupid
Nothing
that
major,
war would have
Steve.
been that war had zero chance of happening
A
if
little
I
bit
were
about
there. Zero
immigration
chance. He was saying everything
Yeah.
the opposite.
and about
Everything the opposite.
having to have a president in the United
And
States that's
it's so
tough,
sad because many
which I
more
agree with.
people have been killed in
But
Ukraine than you
nothing
read
too
about.
crazy.
You don't read about how bloody it is and how disaster.
Sure.
Hey, look, just in the 2 armies, you lost 500,000 people. And
Yeah.
Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story, but if you think about it, Russia's gone. Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. They've been around a long time. They're a big fighting force,
Yeah. Sure.
and it's
Of course.
very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to
It's
fight,
true.
and we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that, and a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a
Yeah.
man that actually made it. It made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end
China
up
can
in a
lead to
World
World
War
War
III
III.
right now for no reason
No,
whatsoever.
I think you're right. I think people underrate the risk of World War III, and it's just
I do too.
when you're looking at the risk of global thermonuclear warfare, it's game over for humanity, and it's something that people have, I think, after the end of the Cold War, people have become complacent about, but they actually have forgotten that there are currently a lot of nuclear missiles that have targeting parameters for the United States from other
100%.
countries.
And one of the things
And
we're going to do is
it's
we're going to
yeah,
build an Iron Dome over us. Israel has it. We're going to have the best Iron Dome in the world. We need it, and we're going to make it
We
all in the
do.
United States. But we're going to have protection because it just takes one maniac to start something. We're going to have protection, and we're going to have. Why shouldn't we have an Iron Dome? Israel has one. Some other places
yeah,
have one that nobody even knows about, frankly. But Israel has it. We're going to have an Iron Dome.
That's an
But
interesting comment.
with all of that being said, to me that's so important, the most important. But with all of that being said, the election's coming up, and the people want to hear about the economy and the fact that they
absolutely, sure.
can't buy groceries because they don't have enough money to buy groceries. The inflation has killed them. Food prices are up 50, 60, even 100% in some cases.
There we
And
go.
this
Talk about the
stupid
economy.
administration allowed this to happen. And it's a shame. And that's the thing that people most care about, in my opinion. They care about the border a lot. And we discuss the border at great length. It's nice to have a
Yeah, yeah.
forum like this where I can discuss something at length. And by the way, you think Biden could do this interview? Do you think that Kamala could do this interview? They would take a pass on
No, they
you.
could not.
So they don't need Elon. They don't need Elon screaming out questions. It's pretty sad when you think that somebody that does this for a living can't answer a question or is afraid to do an interview. And in her case, with a very friendly interview, she's got all friendly interviewers. It's pretty sad.
Yes,
But the
absolutely.
big thing now is the
Well,
economy, Elon.
yeah,
And as much as
yeah.
I mean, I view nuclear as the single most important thing, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't understand that. But it doesn't have to. If I understand it, that's all you need. Because if I was president, you're not going to have that kind of a problem. But the thing that they really is making them angry is what Kamala and Biden have allowed to happen to the economy. It's a disaster with inflation. The inflation, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter what you make. The inflation has eaten you alive. If you're a worker or if you're just a middle income person, you can't afford. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using
yeah.
all their money and borrowing money just to live. It's a horrible thing
Right.
that's happening, and we'll end that
Well, I think
quickly.
a lot of yeah, a lot of people just don't understand where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. So if the government spends far more than it brings in, that increases the money supply, and if the money supply increases faster than the rate of goods and services,
That's right.
that's inflation. Um, so really, we need to have we need to reduce our government spending, and we need to re-examine. I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not
Right.
sensible? And we need to live within our means. We're currently adding, I think, $1 trillion to the deficit roughly
Right.
every 100 days.
That's right.
And the interest payments on the national debt have now exceed the defense budget. It's on the order of $1 trillion,
It's interest.
and it keeps
Yeah, I
growing.
rebuilt
Yep.
our military, largely rebuilt our military, did a great job on it, which was so important. We had jets, we had fighters that were, and bombers that were 70 years old. And we did a great job in that. Then by the way, we gave 85 billion of it back to Afghanistan, if you can believe it. We gave them 85 billion. They're one of the largest sellers
Yeah,
of military equipment in the world. They're selling what we gave them. That was one of the most embarrassing days in the history of our country. But if you think about, let's go back to the economy. We have to bring energy
yeah,
prices down. Energy started at the price of gasoline. Now your cars don't require too much gasoline, so you have a good, and you do make a great product. I have to say, I have to be honest with you.
thank
That
you.
doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your product is incredible. But the
Thank you.
gasoline, Elon, is the cost of energy. Not only gasoline, it's the cost of heating your house and cooling your house. That has
Sure.
to come down. It's gone up 100%, 150, and 200%, and that has to come down. When that comes down, and we're going to
Yeah,
drill, baby, drill. They stopped drilling, and then they went back to drilling because they went back to the Trump policy. But if they won the day after they get into office, this country will go out of business because they're going to go to an energy policy that's not sustainable. Wind and different things. You're not going to have anything.
yeah,
And I know you're a big fan of the AI, and I have to say
yeah,
that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything. So you're going to have to build. We're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary competitor for this on the AI. You're going
Sure.
to need a lot of
Well, I mean,
electricity. You're going to need tremendous
yeah,
electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it.
sure. Well, just going, back to this, like this basic thing, which that people try to make it sound complicated, but it's not. But inflation is caused by government
Right.
overspending.
Yeah, agreed.
Would you agree that we need to take a look at government
Yes.
spending and have
Good.
perhaps a government efficiency commission
Yes.
that just tries
Fuck
to make the
yeah.
spending sensible and so the country lives within its means, just like a
The
person does.
waste is incredible, and nobody
It
negotiates
is.
prices. You used to have a lot of people making
Say
jets, and you
yes.
end up with two companies, and they'll probably try and merge at some point. I mean, I went through it like Air Force, just a thing like Air Force One. One of the first documents they asked me to sign, a general walks in, sir, would you please sign this document? And what is it? Air Force One. That's with Boeing, which is basically two planes, two 747s. And the price was
Yeah.
$5.7 billion for two planes. Now they're
Wow.
highly sophisticated.
That's
They're
insane.
even nicer than your plane,
Yeah,
okay?
that's
But
crazy.
much more sophisticated. They're very, I won't say what's on it, but they got a lot of stuff on it. Anyway, but it's
Sure.
5.7. I
That's a crazy
It's a
number.
crazy number, but I said, I'm not going to pay 5.7. I'm not going to do it. I said,
Elon
who
could
made the
probably
deal?
build that for a
Obama and
fraction
his
of the
people.
cost.
I said, well, then I know the deal's no good. I'm not going to do it. And over a course of about 4 weeks, by my saying I'm not going to do it, I got the price reduced by $1.6 billion
I remember that.
for the
Yep.
exact same plane, other than we had a nicer
He
paint
should have
job, if you
answered
want to know the
yes.
truth.
Yeah.
But for the exact same
He needs
plane,
to come back and say yes.
I saved
I
for it. And
want
I
a
said to
commission.
Boeing, man, you guys
Say
must
it.
make a lot of money if you can reduce the price by that. But now what I do hear is that they're going back to the Biden administration and wanting big cost overruns,
Yep,
because
that's
they see
true.
these dopey suckers in there, and they'll end up getting some of the money back. But I shaved it by $1.6 billion for the exact same plane.
Tell him you
And
want
and you
a
can now take
commission
that and
and that
multiply
you
that
want
out
Elon
times
to be on it.
thousands of
Just
other
be
Exactly.
smart.
items. And
Multiply it by
yeah,
a
the
zillion,
numbers are
and yeah, yeah.
astronomical. I agree with you.
Well, I mean, if so, I think it would be great to just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look at these things and just ensures that the taxpayer money, the taxpayers' hard-earned money, is spent in a good way. I'd be happy to help out on such a commission
I'd love
if
it.
it were formed.
Well, you're the greatest cutter. I mean, I look at what
Good.
you do. You walk in and you just say, "You want to quit?" They go on
Yeah.
strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike, and you say,
Good
"That's okay.
job.
You're all gone.
That's better.
You're all gone." So every one of you is gone, and you are the greatest. You would be very good. Oh, you would love it. But if you look at Argentina.
Well, I'd be happy to
Yeah, by
help
the way,
out.
congratulations. I
Yeah.
just looked at the number of people that are listening to you and I chat. We'll call it a chat. But
Yeah.
congratulations. This is very good. I mean, it's great. And you're an interesting character. The new head of a place called Argentina, and
Javier
he's a
Milei.
big,
Malay's awesome.
he's great. And
Yeah.
he's a big MAGA fan, that he ran on MAGA. And he took it to an extreme too. He ran on MAGA, and I hear he's doing really a terrific job.
He is.
It's called Make Argentina Great Again. It worked out perfectly. He came in, he bought a lot of hats, he brought everything, but he's doing a big job. He really cut. And I'm hearing
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
starting to do
I feel
pretty
like
well.
we're getting on
Inflation's
track.
getting down. They had like
Yes,
Finally.
2,000%. And they had inflation like not normal inflation. They had the real deal. But we're going to
Yeah.
have that pretty soon. We have, I think we
Yeah.
have the worst inflation we've had in 100 years. They say it's 48 years. I don't believe it. I think
It's
we have the worst.
deflation
They don't
now, but
include
yeah,
a
we got
lot
a
of the
lot of
items that
problems.
should be included.
A lot of
You
problems.
know,
Yeah. Well, it's just from government overspending and not spending taxpayer money
yeah.
effectively,
Yep.
and having just like
We
so
can't
many
afford to
departments
service our
you
debt.
can't even name them all. And what Millet is doing
There we go.
is
Good job. Bring it in.
he's cutting government spending. He's simplifying things. He's having putting in regulations that make sense, and we're Argentina overnight is experiencing a giant improvement
That's
in
right.
prosperity.
Yes.
But it's also a lesson for the United States, which is
Yes.
that Argentina used to be one of the most prosperous countries in the world.
Yep. Preach it, brother.
You know, in the I think in the 30s, 40s, and because of bad government policy, it ruined the country. And if you take Venezuela, for example, Venezuela should be incredibly prosperous. They have
Yes.
phenomenal
Yes. Bring it
reserves
in.
of everything, oil, everything, and it should be prosperous. But if the government's wrong,
Yeah.
it
Agreed, RJ.
impoverishes the people. And so I think we should not be complacent in the United States and thinking that and taking our prosperity for granted.
Yes.
Because if with bad government policy, we can run the country into the ground, and that's just something people should bear in mind. Don't take prosperity for granted.
Well, think of education. So
Yeah.
we're
No.
ranked
No
at the
doubt, Jax.
bottom
He's
of
doing
every
good.
list of the top 40. We're ranked number 40, number 38. Uh, Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, different countries are ranked good. Actually, China's pretty close to the top. They're a
Yeah,
top
they are.
6 or 7. But we're
Crazily.
ranked at the bottom, almost at the bottom, 38, 39, 40. In other words, horrible. And yet we
Or
spend
I
more
watch
per
his.
pupil than any other country in the world. So we spend more. And what I'm going to do, one
And
of
we're
the
completely
first
inefficient
actions,
with our
this is where
teaching.
I
It's
need an
horrible.
Elon Musk. I
We
need
teach
somebody
people to
that has a
memorize
lot of
shit instead of
strength
to
and
have
courage and
critical
smarts.
thinking skills.
I want to close up Department of Education, move education back to the states,
Hell yeah.
where
Yeah.
where states like Iowa, where states like Idaho,
Now I'm getting
not
pumped.
every state will do great because states that
No, we
basically
can't.
aren't doing good now. You look at Gavin Newsom, the governor of California.
Yeah.
He's terrible. He does a terrible job. So he's not going to do great with education. But of the
Yeah.
50, I would bet that 35 would do great,
Yes.
and
Let the states
15
figure it
of them,
out.
or 20 of them will be as good as Norway. Norway's considered great. You can name them. I mean, they're so good. Some of
Yeah.
these
Agreed,
countries are so
RJ.
good.
Make it go
But
away.
if you go into some of these really well-run states, we have states that don't know what debt is. We have states that have low taxes,
Yeah,
no
let's start
debt.
emulating more of that.
Everybody working. They're really well run.
Sure.
And maybe they have certain advantages in terms of location, in terms of the land or the sun, and the water and the whole thing. There are a lot of advantages that some people have. But if you moved education back to the 50, you'll have some that won't do well, but they'll actually be forced to do better because it'll be a pretty bad situation.
Yeah.
But if you think
Well,
about it,
yeah.
you'll have some
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
these states. I'll bet you'd have 30, 35 states. It'll be much better. And you know what it'll cost? Less than
Yeah.
half what it is in Washington.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
these people
we
don't
so
care
need this
about the
commission.
students in these,
And we need to
faraway
move
states.
education
And
back to
it
the
would be,
states. I
it'd be
100% agree.
unbelievable.
Yeah. I think you're making a good point in that if
Michael
the
Krause.
states have
What's up,
to, have
brother?
to if each state has to compete against other states, then people will
That's
naturally
right.
move to states where it's better.
Well, like
Um,
California, as we said, it's a badly run state. I could go through. I got so many friends
What's up,
that
buddy?
are in those states, even if they're Democrats. I hate to mention certain states, but Illinois is badly run with Pritzker. He's a real loser. But
yeah.
some of these places are just badly run. But it's almost going to force them to run better, and they won't do a good at initially. But you're not going to do worse
There'll
than
be
you're doing right now.
competition.
And I would say that
Yeah.
the cost, you would cut your cost by 50 or 60%. And you'd have a little
Yeah. Yeah.
monitor. You want to make sure they're teaching English as an example. Give us a
Yeah.
little English, right?
Sure, yeah.
Right?
No, but I mean, to what some of these governors are doing so badly. I mean, they got so many people moving out of their state. They should get U-Haul Salesman of the Year award because they're driving so much U-Haul
It's
sales.
actually
It's just
amazing.
people moving out.
Isn't it amazing to you as a businessman that they can even survive? Like Illinois, so many people are leaving, and you wonder, how do they survive? I mean, how do they survive? I saw where you left California and you moved to Texas. Texas does a great job. But, I
Yeah.
mean, I just wonder, how do these states survive when big businesses, a big oil company just left California, as you know, and they moved to Texas. How do these big states survive when they lose so
They're
many
not. They're
businesses?
dying. They're dying.
And their taxes are already really high. The taxes
California's
are among the
dying.
highest
Yeah.
taxes. You almost wonder, how do they continue on? And in many cases, the governors don't do a good job in their crime-ridden places. You wonder, how do they continue to just go on? It's not
Well,
a good
I think there's
situation.
I mean, I think the only thing that's going to force some of these states to change is if they risk bankruptcy and they're not getting bailed out by the federal
Right,
government.
right. Well,
That's
you're
the
gonna
only thing
have
that's going to
that.
get them to change.
You remember the
Yeah.
area in California where they had that, where I guess somebody had sticky fingers and they stole a lot of money, and they went into a form of chapter, and it was very
Yeah.
nasty for
Yeah.
a period of time. But now it's probably the most popular place in all of California. So at some point, something like that may have to happen. But the problem is, you can't penalize people that loan money to the state when you have incompetent people like a
He
Pritzker.
should,
Look,
Corey.
the family didn't want him in the family business, and then he ends up being governor of Illinois. So what is he going to be? Is he going to be a great governor? And you have people. I could name every one of them.
You
I
have
got
people
to
that
know
would
every
never
one of
make
these,
it in
and some are
business
very
that
good,
are
and some are
running
just horrible.
states.
Well, I think that, I mean, the larger point here, too, as you're saying, like a lot of people are concerned about the economy, a lot of people are concerned about inflation, and inflation is effectively a tax on people that
The
save
poorest.
money,
Yeah.
and for people
The
that are
poorest in
working
a
day to
community.
day,
Middle
it's just a
income and
form of
below.
taxation, and if we can
Because they don't own
solve the government
assets.
spending problem, we'll solve the inflation problem, which means people will have a better standard of living, and
Yeah.
that's a really big
Well, the
deal.
people that got hurt worst are the people that did it the way they were taught to do it all through,
Save, work
their
hard.
younger life and
Yep.
their
It's all
young
bullshit.
life and their whole life. The people that saved money and then they got no interest on their money and inflation destroyed them.
Yep.
And frankly, they were almost better off if they didn't do anything like that. I mean, those people have been absolutely decimated, and we're going to bring those people back and help those people. We've got to get the prices
Yes, I
down.
agree, Corey.
When I look
They're
at
getting on
bacon
topic now.
costing 4 or 5 times more than it did a few years
Sure.
ago, when you look at some of the food products in grocery stores, people go, they can't believe it. They used to be able to buy a whole cart, and today, a lot of people just don't have the money. They go in and they can't buy anything. They look at
Yeah,
it's sticker
I
shock.
think
They call it
yeah.
sticker shock, right?
I think it really just comes, like I said, I think it just comes down to really, I guess, two things, which is that if you solve government overspending, you solve inflation, which improves the living
Right.
standards of the average person, and then if you deregulate, like have sensible regulations, so because
Yes,
a lot of
that's such a
the
thing.
regulations are nonsensical and cause the cost to
We
be
shouldn't have
extreme for no
regulations from the
reason.
1800s that don't make sense to
But unless you've
today.
got
Get rid of
effective
them. Have them
deregulation, like
expire.
Reagan did a great job on deregulation in the
Yep.
80s, but it's been 40 years since we hadn't
Yep.
had
That's right.
anyone really. I mean, during your administration, we made some progress, but I think there's an opportunity to make, I think, radical progress with sensible regulation. And
Yeah.
if
Well,
it was
Elon,
those two things, yeah, those are the big deals.
we set a record. We did more deregulation and more restrictions on all of the different businesses than any other president. Remember, I had the rule for every one we put in, you have to get rid of 10 or 12. And we did
Yeah.
radical
That's
cuts
the way to
on
do
all
it.
of that. And a lot of that's being put back by this administration. And we did radical cuts on things that weren't necessary. But we were all set. We had the best economy ever maybe in the world. And then what happened is COVID came in, and we had to focus on that, and nobody knew what it was. And I always say I got good marks on economy, good marks on military. We knocked out ISIS. We did so many different things. We rebuilt. But, I never got the credit that we really deserved on what we did with COVID. We never got the credit. But had that not
Yeah,
happened, the
that's
gift from
crazy,
China, from
Michael. That's
Wuhan,
really crazy.
came in from Wuhan, the Wuhan labs, and I always said it, and it turned out to be right. But had that not happened, we were set to start reducing debt. We were going to reduce taxes further. I gave the largest tax cuts, and
believe
we were
all
going to
of that.
reduce taxes still further for middle-income people, not only businesses. But we did it for businesses because they're the ones that's why we had the great job numbers.
Agreed, Corey.
But we were set to really start
Smaller government's better. We
reducing
can't
debt.
afford the government
And,
we have. We can't even
we're
afford
sitting
to pay
on
our interest on our
the
debt.
biggest pile of liquid gold anywhere in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia, bigger than Russia. And we were going to drill, and we were going to make so much money. We were going to supply Europe with oil. I had stopped the Russian pipeline, and we were going to supply them with oil and gas. We were going to make a fortune. And then
This is getting a lot
the COVID
better,
came
right?
in,
A lot
and
better. It was slow in the
we had
beginning, the first hour
we
plus.
really had to divert. Then what happened is when they came in, we kept a lot of businesses alive. If I didn't do what we did, we would have had a 1929 type depression. But the problem is when Biden came in, he got trillions of dollars and just started spending it stupidly. You didn't need it anymore. You know, we got over that bad period where it was everybody was
And Kamala wanted to
dying
spend
and
four
you
instead
know
of the
it
$1
was
trillion
just not a good
package
period.
Biden spent.
Interestingly,
Four.
you know, during his administration, many more people died during his administration of COVID than during my administration, and we really got the brunt of it. But people don't realize more people died during his administration than ours. But it
But everybody
diverted
stopped
us
caring
from
about COVID
doing
when
what
he
I
became
wanted to
elected.
do. But we had the greatest for, you know, almost 3 years. We had the
Yeah.
great, and you know that probably better than anybody. So many of your friends said to me, the best years we've ever had in business were during the Trump years, and also said that African American, Hispanic American were so incredible. They were having the best. Asian American women, men, young people without a diploma, young people that graduated from the best colleges, from MIT, from the Wharton School, from all of the great colleges, Harvard. They were doing better, and people without a diploma were doing better, and everybody was happy. And then COVID came, and
Sure.
we had the problem is they spent trillions and trillions of dollars. They wasted. They shouldn't have taken any money, and we wouldn't be having inflation right now, which is killing our country.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I should probably say something about like, maybe my views on, climate change
Yeah,
and oil and gas, because I think I'm probably different from what most people would assume. Because my views are actually pretty, I think, moderate in this regard, which is that I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry and the people that have worked very hard in those industries to provide the necessary energy to support the economy. And if we were to stop using oil and gas right now, we would all be starving, and the economy would collapse. So it's I don't think it's right to sort of vilify the oil and gas industry, and I the world has a certain demand for oil and gas, and it's probably better if the United States provides that than some other
sure.
countries, and it would help with prosperity in the U.S. And at the same time, obviously, my view is like we do over time want to move to a sustainable energy economy, because eventually you do run out of. I mean, you run out of oil and gas. It's not infinite. Um, and there is some risk. I think the risk is not as high as a lot
Agreed,
of people
Tim.
say it is
This is
with
getting
respect to
better.
global
It's
warming.
like
But I
getting
think
into its
if
groove, maybe.
if you just keep increasing the parts per million in the atmosphere long enough, eventually it actually simply gets uncomfortable to breathe. People don't realize this. If you go past 1,000 parts per million of CO2, you start getting headaches and nausea. And so we're now in the sort of 400 range. We're adding, I think, about roughly 2 parts per million per year. So I mean, it still gives us. So what it means is like we still have quite a bit of time, but so there's not like we don't need to rush, and we don't need to like
Yeah, we
stop
should be doing
farmers
all
from
of it.
farming
Nuclear's more
or
expensive right now, but there's smaller
prevent
reactors.
people from having steaks or
Right.
basic stuff like
Yeah,
that.
people can eat steak.
Leave the farmers alone.
I
You
agree.
know
How
what I mean?
Exactly.
crazy is that? Where
I mean,
Exactly.
you have farmers that are not allowed to farm anymore and have to get rid of their cattle, and the whole world is
yeah,
a
that's
little
silly.
crazy. But it's largely taken its lead from us. I just say though, I've heard in terms of the fossil fuel, because even to create your electric car and create the electricity needed for the electric
Oh my
car.
God, they're gonna
You know,
cash out
fossil fuel is what
EVs.
really creates that at the
This is gonna
generating
be
plants. And,
interesting. Okay.
so you sort of can't get away from it at this moment. I mean, someday you might be able to, but I do hear we have anywhere from 100 to 500 years left. You know, much of it hasn't even been found yet.
Yeah,
But there are tremendous, like Anwar. I got Anwar in Alaska approved. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Everybody tried. Nobody could do it. I got it approved. The first thing that Biden did was unimprove to get rid of it. He ended
yeah,
it. His secretary went in and she ended it. And what a disgrace. That's Anwar. That's bigger, or they think it could be bigger than Saudi Arabia in Alaska. Could be bigger than Saudi Arabia. But they went in and they terminated it. And I'll get it going very quickly, because not only is it big for Alaska, I mean, you talk about economic development, that for the United States,
Yeah.
I mean, that is, they say bigger
And
than
the
Saudi
cow version of
Arabia or the
methane
same
means
size,
nothing.
and pure
Yeah.
really good stuff. And, they end it. So I think we have, perhaps hundreds of years left. Nobody really knows. But during that
I mean,
time,
my
something will
estimate.
come around that will be
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my estimate would be, a little more uh, aggressive than that, but it's not the sort of like we're all going to die in 5 years stuff. That's obviously BS. Um, but I mean, my view is like if you just look at sort of the parts per million that increments every year, you get sort of 2 or 3 parts per million every year of CO2. Uh, y-
A little
I mean,
less than 100,
I think some of that
but it doesn't
it's
matter.
problematic if it accelerates, if you start going from two or
Right.
three to say five, and then there may be some situations where you get just a step change increase in the CO2,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we don't want to get too close to 1,000 ppm because like that's actually makes it uncomfortable to breathe. Like just existing in 1,000 ppm CO2 is uncomfortable. That's like that's considered like an industrial hazard.
Right.
Just so it's that's
But we
actually start
can
getting
use
headaches and stuff. So
existing
it's
energy
even without
to
global
be able
warming,
to push
it's not comfortable to
technology
live. So we don't want to
forward.
get too close to that. But I mean, I think we've got. I think we want to just move over and like, and if I don't know, 50 to 100 years from now, we're I don't know, mostly sustainable. I think that'll probably be okay.
Yes.
So it's not like the house is on fire immediately, but I think it is something we need to move towards.
I love that
And
Elon's
on
actually bringing this up
on balance, it's probably better to move there
sooner.
faster than slower. But like I said, without vilifying the oil and gas industry, and without causing hardship in the short term, I think this can be done. Um, without but people can still have a stake, and they can still drive gasoline
Sure.
cars, and it's okay. It's like it's not. I don't think we should vilify people for it, but I think we should just generally lean in the direction of sustainability. And I actually think solar is going to be a majority of Earth's energy generation in the future, and it's certainly trending that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get the solar power, combine that with batteries, so because obviously the sun doesn't shine at night, and then you use that to charge the electric cars, and you have a long-term sustainable solution. And that's what Tesla's trying to move things towards, and I think we've made a lot of progress in that regard. But when you look at our cars, we don't believe that environmentalism, that caring about the environment should mean that you have to suffer. So we make sure that our cars are beautiful, that they drive well, that they're fast, they're sexy. I mean, they're cool. In fact, literally, I made this sexy joke: Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Y spells out sexy. It's probably the most expensive joke out there. Um, but I don't know, I like cheesy humor, So, um, but I'm a big fan of like let's have an inspiring future, and
Yeah.
let's work towards a better future, and we can do so without demonizing
Right.
people.
I'm okay.
You know,
It's very interesting. You use the word global warming, and today they use the word climate change because you have some places that go up, and so they were getting themselves in a little trouble with the word global warming because not every place is warming. Some places are going the opposite direction. But I'm sort of waiting for you to come up with solar panels on the roofs of your cars and on the trunks of the cars, and it just seems like something that at some point you will come up with. I'm sure you'll be the first, but it would seem that a solar panel on the roofs, on flat surfaces, on certain
I
surfaces
love
might
that
be
Trump
good,
is
yeah,
at
talking to
least in
Elon
certain
about
areas
solar
of the country
energy.
where you have or the world
sure.
where you have the sun. But I would think, and I have no idea
I
because that's
know, I
not my
agree,
world,
Heinz.
but
I
I
totally
would think
agree.
that this
It's
would
good for them
be
to hear from
something that
Elon.
would be interesting. But
He's
the
not
one thing that
demonizing what
I
they
don't
do.
understand is that people talk about global warming or they talk about climate change, but they never talk about nuclear warming. And to me,
Sure.
that's an immediate problem because
Trump's
you
solar
have, as I
explaining.
said, 5 countries where you have major nuclear, and probably some others are getting there, and that's very dangerous. That's where you need a strong American president because you don't want to have this
Oh, you didn't know
proliferation.
that,
But
Corey?
you have 5 countries
Yeah.
and getting more. China is much less than us right now, but they're going to catch us sooner than people think. They're way lower. Russia and us are number one, and I mean, we're sort of tied. And China is far behind, but they're
Oh,
developing
for
at a
nuclear
level that
warheads.
you're not
Yeah.
surprised to hear very fast. they'll end up catching up, maybe even
Yeah,
surpassing. But to me, the biggest
yeah,
problem is not climate change. It's not, and everything's a problem, but it's degrees. To me, the big problem is the nuclear power. The power of
That's fair.
nuclear is so great.
I think
And
that's
when
a
I
bigger
talk
yeah,
threat
yeah.
in
about
the
I'll
Nuclear
next
power
30
prevent
is
world,
years.
underrated. It's
I'll
awesome.
prevent World War
I agree.
III.
Oh,
I agree.
I will, but the truth is that you have to, because this is no longer army tanks going back and forth and shooting at each other. This is
yeah.
a level of destruction and power that nobody's ever seen before.
Yep. Only one
Yeah, and
time,
actually,
really.
there's the bad side of
Japan.
nuclear, which is a nuclear war, very bad side. But there's also, I think, nuclear electricity generation is
Absolutely. You're
underrated,
right.
and it's actually, people have this fear of nuclear electricity generation, but it's
And it
actually
shouldn't
one of the
be.
safest
It's
forms
so
of
safe now.
electricity generation. It's
They
just
have
a
ones
huge
that can't melt
misunderstanding.
down.
And if you look at the injuries and deaths, caused by, say, I mean, I'm not going to try to pick on coal mining, but just any kind of mining
Right.
operation, and there's a certain number of injuries and deaths per year. And you compare that to nuclear. Nuclear is actually way better. So it's underrated as an electricity source, and I think it's something that's worth reconsidering. But there's so much regulation that people can't get it done.
Yeah.
So that
After 3 Mile
Maybe they'll have
Island,
to
sort of
it's
change
just
the
have it,
name.
you know,
The name is
and
it's a
Chernobyl, it's
rough
just
name. There are
bullshit.
some areas like
yeah, it's a rough
when
name.
you see what happened in
Good bad
right.
branding. The
We'll have to
branding's rough.
rebrand it. We'll have to give it a good name. We'll name it after you or something. You know, no, it
I
has
think
it has a branding problem. You know, when you
Nice.
see what happened
it does have a branding problem.
when you see what happened in Japan, where they say you won't be able to go on the land for about 3,000 years. Did you ever see that? And in Russia, where they had the problem, where they,
In Chernobyl, yeah.
there's a lot of bad things happened, and they have a problem. And they say that in 2,000 years, people will start to occupy the land
You
again.
can honestly live there
You
now.
realize
People
it's pretty
do.
bad.
No, that's not true.
But there's,
Yeah.
you're
There you
right
go.
about it. It's amazing.
It's actually not that bad. So like after Fukushima
Yeah.
happened in Japan,
Yeah. Talk to it.
like people were asking me in California, are we worried about like a nuclear cloud coming from Japan? I'm like, no, that's crazy. It's actually it's not even dangerous in Fukushima. I actually flew there and ate locally grown vegetables on
Yeah.
TV to prove it.
Yep.
And I donated a solar water treatment, a solar powered system for a water treatment plant. And
Yeah, but you haven't
because the
been
danger
feeling
is
so
just
well lately, and I'm worried about it.
no, but I mean
I'm
it's just
only kidding.
it's
I'm only
fine,
kidding.
It's like Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again.
Yes.
So
Right.
it's
Yeah,
really
exactly.
not something that
That's
It's not
right.
1,000
so
years
it's not as scary as
remotely.
people think, basically. But
Yeah.
let's see. I mean, are there some other topics we should touch on? Like lawfare. I think
Well,
we need to be concerned about.
what they've done to
Um,
this country.
obviously,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we just won the big
I mean,
case in Florida. This was a Biden
Elon
administration
uranium.
did something that's never been done in this country, and that's go after their political opponent, me, with this
Copenhagen
nonsense
Atomics.
and just nonsense. And the big case in Florida we won, but they always pick a judge and a jury, and they use the local DAs, they use the local attorney generals, like Fani, Fani, spelled
yeah,
Fani, Fani, and it's
yeah,
all a big hoax, and it's all run from there. Like in Manhattan, the one of the top people from the Justice Department went in, ran Manhattan, ran the state. The Letitia James deal was run by a person from the Department of Justice, Biden. They've never done this before,
sure.
and they set up a very
It's a
bad
witch hunt.
precedent. It's called lawfare, warfare.
And they've done it to Elon
Yeah.
It's a
Musk
terrible
for the
thing, and
last
never
5,
happened in
6
our country.
years
It
or
does
4
happen
years.
in banana republics and third world countries,
Yep.
but it's never
Yeah.
happened. And the incredible thing is it
Probably
actually
3.
drove my numbers up because people see, fortunately I have a platform like you, or, in all fairness, like a conversation like this, where I can talk about it and people
There are
understand. I
people
mean,
still
you
living
fight for
in
election
Chernobyl,
integrity and you end
right
up
on the
getting
outskirts,
indicted
that never left.
because you're fighting for election integrity. And when the day comes that you can't fight for election integrity, you don't have a country anymore. So what happens?
It's like
What
some
Yeah.
old
happens
lady
is
I
they
saw.
went
She
after
lives
their
right on the
political opponent,
edge of
me.
Chernobyl.
Now Biden's,
She never left.
close to vegetable stage, in my opinion. Okay, I looked at him today on the beach, and I said,
We
why
shouldn't
would
be talking
anybody
about
allow
Biden. Talk
him?
about
The
Kamala.
guy could barely
Come
walk.
on, bro.
Why would anybody
Get over
allow
it.
him? Does
Yeah.
he have a political advisor that thinks this looks good? He thinks this looks good because It looks so bad, and it's ridiculous. I mean, and he's been doing
Right,
that
right.
for a long time. You know, he can't lift the chair. The chair weighs about 3 ounces.
Just
It's
two.
meant for
Just a normal
children
person.
and
They
old
probably
people to
develop a
lift,
cancer or something,
and
but they're
he
still
can't
Yeah.
lift
alive
it.
in their
The
late
whole thing is
70s.
Well,
crazy.
he's clearly. I mean, he's clearly like we just don't have a president right
You
now.
don't
That's
have a
just what
We
it
don't
is.
have a
president, and she's
president.
going to be
Spot
worse than him
on.
because she is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco, and then as Attorney General, she destroyed California. You talk about location, and we're talking about the sun and the water and all. There's nothing better than California. She has destroyed that. She was the original
Agreed,
DA. She
Alex.
was the original in San Francisco. She
Don't
was the
focus on the
original
old guy.
Attorney
He's gone.
General in California. What she has done to California is, well, you know better than I do. You just left California for a lot of those reasons.
There you
And
go.
what she's done
Let him talk.
with crime, with cashless bail, where you kill somebody. I mean, we have states now you kill somebody and they let you out right away. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have to even put up, and then they never find the people
That's
unless
not too
they
far
kill
removed
again,
from
and
the
then they let
truth.
them out again. Our
Yeah.
country is becoming a very dangerous place. And she is a radical left San Francisco liberal. And now she's trying to protect. Now she's looking like she wants to be more Trump than Trump, if that's possible. I don't think it's possible. But she wants to be more Trump than
Well,
Trump.
yeah.
She's
I
lying
want a
about it.
wall. I
I
want,
think that's
you know, she
yeah,
wants to release all the
yeah.
prisoners that are in detention. And some of these guys are really bad.
Yeah,
Right.
that
That
just
just
came
came
out
Yeah,
out
today.
today.
Talk to that.
She
Let
wants.
Elon talk
She
to
Yeah.
that.
doesn't want to build the wall, even though the walls work. Walls and wheels. You know, in your business, everything you do is obsolete. Almost, well, not the tunnels, but everything is obsolete. Even your rocket ships, they're like a month later, they're obsolete. You find a better way to. The only thing that's not obsolete is a wall and a wheel. And the wall, you know, I built hundreds of miles of wall, and that's why we had such good numbers. I was going to add
Yeah.
200 miles.
We need a
We
digital
bought it. We
wall.
could have flipped
We need
it up
Anduril.
in 3 weeks, and they sold it for 5 cents on the
Yeah,
dollar.
that was stupid.
That meant, I said, wow, that means that they actually do want to have open borders. She wants to have open borders, and now she's going like she's tough on the border. It's such a lie.
Yeah. This is simply not
Yeah,
true. This is simply
no,
not
and
true.
everybody
Yeah,
knows
it's
it's
simply not
not true.
true.
It's a disgrace that she can
Yeah.
say it.
No, I mean, obviously, what's happening sort of overnight is they're rewriting history and making Kamala sound like a moderate when in fact she is far left, like far
Worse
left.
than
There we
Bernie
go.
Sanders.
Bring it
She is
in.
considered
Yeah.
more liberal by far than Bernie Sanders.
Bring it
She's
in.
a radical left lunatic. And if she's going to
Let
be our
Elon talk
president,
to it.
very quickly, you're not going to have a country anymore. And she'll go back to all of
Yeah.
the things that she believes in. She believes in defunding the police. She believes in no fracking, zero. You
Yeah.
don't. Now all of a sudden
Yeah.
she's saying, no, I will. I really want to see fracking. If they got in, the
She'll
day
end it
she
right
got
away.
in, she'll end fracking.
Yep.
And by the way, if people didn't think that, the lunatics that really believe in that, they won't vote for her. You know, like the
Yeah.
Palestinians and Israel. She is so anti-Israel, and she's bad for both. Biden actually did something that was impossible. Both sides hate him. You know, both sides. That was a hard
Yeah.
thing to do. Unification.
Yeah, no. I mean, Netanyahu came to give a talk to
Yes,
a
bring that up.
joint Senate and House
Kamala
sitting,
didn't
and I was
show.
there,
Yep.
and Kamala stood him up.
Yeah.
What does that
Yeah.
say?
I
Fuck
think it's
yeah.
highly
That's
disrespectful. And I say, if you're a Jewish person or if you believe in Israel, if you're a person that, you know, is a very pro-Israel, if you vote for her, it's worse than Biden. And Biden was bad. But if you vote for her, you ought to have your head examined. And you see tonight, I mean, as we're doing this, I'm seeing reports coming that they expect an attack tonight or tomorrow from hundreds and maybe thousands of rockets. You know, their Iron Dome, as they call it, as we all call it, but their shield that they build, that can be swamped. We'll use the term that's
Yeah.
appropriate, swamped. But they
Yeah.
swamp it by shooting enough missiles. You know this better than anybody. By shooting enough missiles,
Sure.
they can't defend themselves. You know, they just obliterate the whole
Yeah.
place. And that's what some people think they're looking to do. And we have no leadership. There's no respect for the United States of America with these people. And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
she'll be worse than him because she's a believer
Yeah. No,
in
I
being
think you're right.
radical left, and he wasn't.
I think you're right. I mean, you really, it's important for the public that may be listening to this to look at Kamala's track record, before the last like month, and say, is that a track record you agree with? And I think if you're an independent moderate, you definitely would not agree with it, because it is her behavior has been far left, and we're seeing just an overnight propaganda attempt to rewrite history and make it sound like Kamala's moderate when she in fact is not moderate.
Well,
So I
her
think that,
running mate approved, signed into legislation, tampons in boys' bathrooms.
Yeah, what
Okay,
the fuck is that?
now
yeah,
that's
yeah,
all
that's
I have
weird.
to hear. Tampons in
That's
boys'
weird.
bathrooms, and that means she
Yeah,
believes in that too. I mean,
yeah, that's
she
not
picked this
okay.
guy because he was the closest to her. A lot of people thought she'd pick sort of the opposite, but she picked an anti-Israel radical left person. But she is far worse, they say, than Bernie Sanders. If we have her as a president, if we have a Democrat at this moment as the president, I don't think our country can survive.
I think it's a massive. I think we're in massive trouble, frankly, with the Kamala administration, and that's my honest opinion. Um, and uh, and I think really it's essential that you win for the good of the country for this election. And I mean, I'm just stating my opinion. Now, you may have seen this, but I got a letter from the EU Commission, like saying, to not have disinformation on during this discussion that we're having, and there's a lot of attempts to do censorship and to force censorship even on Americans from other countries, and what do you think about that?
Well, I know the European Union very well. They take great advantage of the United States in trade, as you know. We, through a different forum, NATO, we protect them. And yet, if you build a car in the United States, you can't sell it in Europe. You just can't sell it. It's impossible. The same thing with our farmers. Our farmers find it very difficult to do business. You know, we have a deficit with them of $250 billion, which people don't know. It sounds so nice, the European Union, but let me tell you, they're not as tough as China, but they're bad. And I let them know it, and that's probably why they notified you. No, they don't treat our country well. We defend them, you know, with Ukraine. So we're in for 250 billion, and they're in for about 71 billion, and they have the same size. It's if you add up the European nations that in terms of an economy, it's about the same size. When you say as us, and they're in,
Yeah,
and they're in much greater risk. They they're right there. We have an ocean separating us from, in this case, the enemy would be Russia. It used to be for the
yeah,
Soviet Union, but let's assume they're close enough. And what happens is uh, they're in for 70 something million. I think even less than that, billion, and we're in for about 250 billion, and it could be a lot higher than that. And I say, why aren't you going to equalize? Why aren't they paying what we're paying? And they're in much more, it's much more important for them because of the fact that, they're right near there. I mean, they're all sort of in that location. We're not. But
yeah,
they should, and I did it with NATO. There were only 7 countries that were paid up in NATO out of 28 at the time. And the United States
yeah,
was the United States was subsidizing NATO, tremendously subsidizing NATO. And I said, I went
yeah,
in and I said, you
yeah,
got to pay up. If you don't pay up, we're not going to defend you any longer. I took a lot of heat, but you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in, and
yeah. I think a lot of the public isn't aware of the fact that the United States pays a disproportionate share of the NATO expenses,
and then we get
even though
taken advantage of on trade. So think
yeah,
about it.
well, I mean, the point of NATO is defending Europe, and it's
And we're paying for it.
it's like, then okay,
It's
well,
fair point.
why is the United States paying disproportionately more to defend Europe than Europe? That doesn't make sense. That's unfair, and that is an appropriate thing to address.
Well,
Um,
when you talk about
so
cost cutting and savings and everything else, I mean, honestly, look, there's nobody that feels worse about the Ukraine situation than I do because I know it would have never happened. I know Zelensky. He was very honorable to me because when they went with the Russia hoax and they said I had a phone call with him, he said it was a perfect phone call. It was a great phone call. He could have grandstanded and, said, oh, he was very threatening. He said, no, it was a very nice phone call. I called him up to congratulate him on his win, and you end up getting impeached because these people are
Yeah, yeah,
lunatics. I was talking about the difference from the people within and the enemies on the outside. In many cases, the people from within are more dangerous for our country than the Russias and the Chinas. If you have a smart president, you're not going to have a problem with them. You're going to do things.
yeah,
Now, they've taken advantage
yeah,
of us
absolutely.
incredibly, but you're going to do things with the right person.
Yeah, well, I think it's obvious that you're a believer and an advocate of free speech because during your first term as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with with false attacks, and you didn't try to shut down the media, you didn't try to uh,
Exactly.
inhibit their
Censor
freedom of
everybody.
speech, and I think that says a lot.
Well, the good thing is that you and I have, and some people, very few, we can get the word out. Although sometimes it's hard because they don't want to print it, like we're having a great conversation right now. Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not
No.
smart. She's not a smart person, by the way. She can't have this conversation. And Biden, we don't even have to talk about it. I mean, he couldn't have this conversation. He would have given up on the first half of a question. He would have walked out. He would have said, "Where am I? Where am I going?" So anyway, but
Yeah,
no, he wouldn't have this.
that's true.
Not a lot of people would have this conversation, but we cover a lot of territory. But the beauty is that we can have a conversation, and
Yes, you
I'm
can actually
able
have a
to get it
conversation.
out without because I get treated unfairly
This
by
is a
the
really
press.
big point. You can actually have a conversation with you,
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
and you can't have a conversation with Biden or Kamala. It's like not it's not possible.
That's true.
Um, so
Yeah.
this is like talking to
That's
an
going to be a
NPC.
No.
So
one-liner
it's
for
just
Well,
tomorrow.
impossible.
but think of it.
You
We
can't
need a
have a
man
conversation with these
or
guys.
person who's
Bitcoin does solve all of it.
unbelievably sharp in order to stop all the nuclear danger and all the dangers that I'm talking about. And I got along with all these. I got along with Kim
Yeah,
Jong Un. We
George.
had
I would like
dinner.
to
We
see that
had
too.
everything.
Talk
And
about the UK.
he
Talk about
really liked
censorship.
me, and I got along with him
Can
really
I
well.
say
By the way,
something in this space?
he's the
I got a
absolute
comment.
boss over there. A lot of people
I
said, "Oh, do you
cannot.
think he will?"
It's too many people.
That's for
Let me
sure.
tell you, I saw things that you don't want to know about. He is the boss, but we had a good relationship, and he doesn't like Biden. He considers him a stupid man. He said he's a stupid man. Well, at least he speaks his mind. But in this country, you're not sort of allowed to say it, but I guess you are. You should be allowed to say it if
Yeah,
it's true. But we need smart people, and we need people that have an ability to lead. And she doesn't have that ability. Can you imagine? Now,
yeah.
Chairman Xi very well. Can you imagine her and him negotiating or
No, it's
even
silly. It would be
standing
silly.
together? It is the whole concept
Yeah.
is ridiculous. She is terrible. She's terrible. But she's getting a free ride. I
It
saw a
would.
picture of her
Yeah, yeah,
on Time Magazine today. She looks like the most beautiful actress ever to live. It was a drawing, and
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
she looked very much like our great first lady, Melania. She looked, didn't look,
Yeah.
she didn't look like Camilla. That's right. But of course, she's a beautiful woman, so we'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah, well, maybe like I think part of what people in America want to, people in America want to feel excited and inspired about the future. They want to feel like the
It's
future is
true.
going to be better than the past,
Yes.
and that America is going to do things that are greater than we've done in the past, reach
Right.
new heights
I
that make you
should. That's a
proud to
good
be an
call.
American, and excited about the future.
They want the
I
American
think
dream
this,
back. They want the American dream back. More important than anything else. It's like you don't have that today because the people they've been just sucked. They see incompetent people running our. You know, the Biden thing is very interesting. People just found him to be incompetent, and when I debated him, I was like, "Is this for real?" It was
yeah, it was just absurd. But I think there are like some grand projects that we could do. I mean, I think
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah. Go there.
we
Go
could
there.
build a base on the moon. We could send American astronauts
Yes.
to Mars. We
right.
could
Oh, dude,
build
talk
high
this.
speed
Yep.
connections that are more advanced than anything else in the
Fuck yeah.
world
Let's be
between
the
our cities,
innovator
so
in the
people have fast
world. Bring it
transport.
up, brother.
Um, that it's possible to solve traffic with tunnels.
That's right.
We already made great progress in Vegas doing that, and and just do things
I'm
that
loving
are
this part.
exciting and inspiring and make the future feel like it's better than the past.
Well, I saw what you
Like
did in Vegas, and I'll tell you, it was amazing. I got to see I
Oh,
took a
he's going to
big
talk about the
glimpse at
boring
it, and
tunnels.
it's
This
incredible.
is
What it's
great.
incredible, and you
This
could
is
do that all
great.
over. You could do that all over. It's deep.
Yeah,
You
and
don't
that's
even need much structure, assuming you're in the right
Oh, this is
areas.
no,
so
it's
great.
straightforward.
It's amazing.
So I think we could do some things that
A
like
hopeful
China's got
message for a
incredible
better
high
future.
speed rail between its cities, but I think it's
Yeah.
actually possible with tunnels if with deregulation with an ability to actually where it's like
Oh my
legal
God.
to
I'm so
actually
excited about
do the
these two
tunnels, then you
working
could have high
together.
speed tunnels that are actually better
Oh,
than
George, you're
anything else in the
100%
world
right.
for high speed transport between cities, and that would be something that Americans can say, "Wow, okay, we've got something that's cooler than anyone else in the
Yeah,
world." That's the kind of thing that makes you proud to be
and
American.
much
Yes.
safer than
Yes.
surface trains
These
where
two
there is
need
a
to work
danger there,
together.
with
These two
people,
need
with
to work
crazy
together,
Yeah,
people.
hand
It's
in hand.
much safer, much better. And, it's sad because I've seen some of the greatest trains. I find it fascinating. And I've seen the systems and how they work, and the bullet trains, they call them, I guess. And
yeah,
they go unbelievably fast, unbelievably comfortable, with no problems. And we don't have anything like that in this
Yeah.
country,
Why don't
not
we
even
have that?
close.
Don't get me wrong. We
And
don't need
it
yeah.
tons of
doesn't
it.
make sense
They've
that we don't.
overbuilt.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I think also like there's I'm kind of hopping on the excess regulation, but I think something that like I think people can generally understand is that what happens with laws and regulations is that there's more and more of them every year, and unless there's a process to clean them up, eventually everything becomes
You're right.
illegal, and that actually it slows down the development of new technologies. I mean, if you take the sort of like I think there's room for some reform at the FDA
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
improving the speed with which we approve drugs that could help save lives and improve people's
Yeah.
lives.
I worked very hard
And
on that.
that,
We got that down
yeah,
to the lowest number ever, and we got
If
therapeutics
Trump gets
approved in the
elected, he's
FDA
definitely going to work
that
with
people can't
Elon.
even
He
believe the
definitely
speed.
is
But I
because he can
I
ride
took
his
them on. I
coattails.
don't think they like me too much, but
He
I
can
got
ride
things
the innovation
approved
coattails.
in
It's
the
brilliant.
FDA
It's
at
brilliant.
numbers that they wouldn't believe. And it's a very bureaucratic group. Actually, it's a fine group of people in many cases. I got to know a lot of them, but I was pushing them really hard for Regeneron, for so many different things that were really pretty amazing. But the FDA takes too long. It's 12 years to get a product approved. I got it down to 4, and I
yeah.
got some things done very quickly. But it's really something that is going to have to be
If you
worked on
guys
because
can,
it takes too
if you
long.
haven't yet,
Just
hit the
takes too
like,
long.
Yeah, it just
okay? And
takes
feel
too
free
long,
to
and it's
subscribe,
you,
click the
you end up in
bell,
the same
be a
with the
part of
approval, but
this.
it's just it takes years instead of something that I think could
Yes.
potentially take
Yeah.
months. That
Yes,
improves
Alex.
improves
That's
people's lives.
exactly
And I think
right.
but I just wanted to sort of hop on this point that like there has to be an active process
They
for
can work together to
reducing rules and
deregulate and make
regulations
it to
because
where
otherwise
Elon can
they just keep
work on
building up every
innovation
year, and
along
you
with
get like
other
hardening
great
of the
companies.
arteries, and eventually everything's illegal or takes
Yes,
forever.
that's what he's trying to do. Exactly,
And
Seedless.
then we just
He
we
knows
just
he's old. He
ossify
wants
as
to
a
go
society.
out
We
with a
just
positive legacy.
we can't make any
Yeah.
progress, and that's it's a really big
Well,
deal.
Elon, just
So
getting back to the FDA for 1 second, I got something done called Right to Try. This is
George,
where
thanks
you
for the
can
5
go in,
memberships. You
and
guys click on
if
that if
you're
you want to be
terminally
able to
ill,
talk
you
and
can
chat over
use
the next
a
month.
space age,
You can ask me questions
medicine
about
or
investments
whatever
and I
it
can
may
take a
be.
look
We
at
have the
them.
best doctors, the best labs in the world. We really do. And but people would
Thanks,
go
buddy.
to other countries because you couldn't use the product, even if they thought it worked, because it's going through the FDA. I got it approved
yeah,
where you can
yeah,
you basically you look, nobody wanted, the doctors didn't want it because of the liability, the country didn't want it, our country, because they didn't want to get sued. These are people terminally ill. The insurance companies didn't want it, and the pharmaceutical companies, nobody wanted it.
All because of
I got
liability
everybody into a
reasons,
room, and we came up with an
even though
agreement
it could
that you
save
won't get
lives.
sued.
It's
And
insane.
also, they didn't want it on their record. If somebody's terminally ill and they die after taking a drug, they didn't want that on their record. So we set a separate list. If somebody was, so it wouldn't count as a negative.
yeah,
Okay. And as you know, we got it
yeah.
done. We have saved Right to Try. They've been trying to get this done for
This is
58
really
Yeah.
getting
years, and it
constructive.
sounds
I
simple,
almost
but it
want
wasn't
follow-up
because
conversations
I mean,
specifically
the
geared
insurance
towards certain
companies, nobody
topics.
wanted it, but we got it done.
Sure.
Somebody signs, you sign a document that you're not going to sue the insurance companies, the country, you're not going to sue anybody. And we got it done, and we're saving tens of thousands of lives. Right to Try. Hopefully, you never need it, but if you
Yeah.
do, You don't have to travel to Asia. You know, people,
Right.
if they had money, they go to
Yeah,
Asia, they go
sure.
to Europe.
Yeah,
If they
why
don't have money,
right
they
to
go
try?
home and
Doesn't that
die.
make
That's what
sense?
happened.
Doesn't
They'd
it
go
make
home
sense
and
that you
die.
can get access to a drug
well, I mean,
if
and
you're
actually,
willing to
to give
accept the
Europe some
liability
props
and
here,
it might
it's
save your
like if a
fucking
drug is
life?
approved in Europe, which has a crazy amount of regulations, it should obviously be approved in the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, they got more regulations than we do. So why would a drug be approved in Europe and not in the U.S.? That's
Makes
crazy.
Well,
no
we did it.
sense.
We did something that really, they've been trying to do it for 50 years and they just couldn't get it done. And I got it done. And it's really something. But you're right. Some people go to Europe because a drug isn't approved here, but
How
it's
many
approved
people
in
have looked
Europe.
at
And it's a
this?
drug that, generally speaking, would
Yeah,
work. It's pretty crazy. You're
absolutely.
right.
And I think so, as long as people are properly informed of the pros and cons and like these are the risks, these are this is the risk, and like you make your own decision.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I think just,
So
in sort of closing up, and by the way, I'm looking at the numbers. You got a lot of people listening. I hope you don't get
yeah,
nervous because you got a lot of people listening to you right now, like 60 million or something. What is that number?
Views.
It's crazy. It's amazing how you can see that right away. How many? What is the number? Wow. What is it?
67 million views.
well,
Wow.
I think in
Wow,
terms of people
that's a big,
that
that's bigger than you said. You said 25 and you're much more than double that number, 25 million. I think you're going to be 60 or 70. And I guess over a period of time, hey, I congratulate you. Do I get paid for this or not?
well, I think actually in terms of the number of people that will hear this conversation over the next few days to
Right.
weeks, it's going to be hundreds of
That's what they
millions.
say. Yeah, that's good. Well, look, it's an
Yeah.
honor. Yeah, I
It's an
just asked
honor.
this, are you better off now or were you better off when I was president? Nobody's better off now. People, we put out polls on that and nobody's better off now. Inflation has killed it. And they also
Yeah,
feel
that's what
very
freedom is,
unsafe.
Corey.
You look at what's going on with a lot of
Especially if
different
people are
things. You
close
look
to
at the
death.
riots we had at the
Yeah.
colleges over, I mean, it's ridiculous, but
Right.
all of the riots, they just feel unsafe. And now they really feel unsafe because you have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. I call it Biden
Well,
migrant
yeah.
crime. Maybe I'll call it
Well,
Kamala
I,
migrant crime. But
I mean, with all these things, I always try to get to the ground truth by just asking people. And my mom lives in New York, and I was like, Mom, do have any of your friends, been attacked or assaulted? And she said, yeah, three of her friends in three separate
crazy.
incidents were assaulted just in recent months, just walking around the streets in New York. And I said, well, what happened to the people that
This
assaulted
is a
them? Oh,
good
nothing.
story.
They got away. Like, and they just
They
know that
always get away.
nothing's going. And they don't even they don't even bother reporting it because there's not. They know
Oh,
that there's
really?
not. They're not going to. People are not going to get prosecuted. They just let
Wow,
violent
that's
criminals
crazy,
out in
Silas.
New
I have
York
The
gastroparesis
only
too.
one
with
that gets
zero bail.
prosecuted is Donald Trump. They don't get, they prosecute Trump.
Yeah, I mean it's just obviously messed up
Oh, it's terrible.
if violent criminals are being getting off scot
Yep.
free, and meanwhile the New York spending massive resources prosecuting
You
you,
guys need to
and
look
it's
up
like
Cash
what
Jordan
this
and watch his
and
videos
I think
about New York
the
City.
sort of
He's totally not
sensible public
political,
said looks at
but
this
it's
and
a
said,
shit
what the
show.
heck's going on here? This is obviously abuse of the legal system. The legal system is supposed to be protecting the
That's right.
public from violent criminals, and
Talk about the
it should be
UK.
obviously allowing the public to make their own
Maybe they're trying to
decision
stay away
about
from
who
that
should be
topic just
president,
because
as
of all the
opposed to
stuff.
some legal case.
Once they start this precedent, because this can go on with the next one, I mean, this is a very bad precedent what they're doing in terms of, going after their political opponent. And that's all it is. It's going after their political opponent.
Yeah,
And then you get a judge who's, a strong Democrat. And I'm being nice when I say that, in many cases, crooked as hell. But you get a judge and you go into an area where a Republican gets 3 or 4% of the vote, and you'll have a jury pool
yeah,
with people that hate Republicans or hate. It could
sure,
also be the other way
of
though,
course,
because it could start the other way in areas where they hate
exactly.
Democrats, and you get into a
Yep,
Pandora's box. It's a very dangerous thing for this country, and a very dangerous thing even for the state. New York City is
yep,
losing. New York
absolutely.
City and state lose a lot of business over what they did to me, because these people say we don't want that to happen to us. That's no justice system. You have an unfair
Yeah, same
system
in
of
Right.
Delaware.
justice, and it's costing New York
Same
State
in
a
Delaware.
tremendous amount of money. People are leaving and companies are leaving, and they won't come back. So, all of that stuff is important. But the economy now is the big thing, and we can turn that economy up so fast, and people are going to be back again. We're going to get rid of
Yeah,
inflation.
I think there's a lot of
Right.
opportunity. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So
And I just
I
want to
think I
I want to
think
congratulate you. You've done an amazing job. You have definitely got a fertile mind. We can talk. You and I can talk about
well,
rockets
it's
and,
kind of you to say. Thank you.
well, tunnels. We can talk about tunnels and rockets and electric cars. So many things. And now you're into the AI, and that's going to be another beauty, I'll say. So
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing you've done, Elon. It's an amazing thing, and I
Well,
congratulate you.
I mean, thank you. And well, I mean, I just say here, here's to an exciting, inspiring future that people can look forward to and be optimistic and excited about what happens next. And that's the kind of future that I think you will bring as president, and that's why I endorse you.
Well, I appreciate that. That endorsement meant a lot to me. Not all endorsements mean that much, to be honest. Your endorsement meant a lot. And, we have a phrase, make America great again. It's pretty simple, but it really says that we want to make America great again. And we can do it. We can do it now. But if we were going to suffer another 4 years like we've suffered for the last 4 years, I'm not sure the country can ever come back. That's how bad it is. It's so bad. We have to do a
I
lot of
think that's a
things.
very real
Yeah,
risk.
it's a big
That's a
risk.
very real risk.
Yeah.
And it's, I'd just like to note to people listening, like I've not been very political before, and if you look at my record, I've actually been I'm not like, if some they try to paint me as like a far right guy, which is absurd because I'm like making electric vehicles and solar and batteries, helping with the environment, and and I actually I supported Obama. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand when he was running for president, and so it's not like I'm like some sort of dyed-in-the-wool long-term Republican. I'd call myself, uh, historically a moderate Democrat, but now I feel like we're really at a critical juncture for the country, and uh, I think a lot of people thought the Biden administration would be a moderate administration, but it's not,
I
and
did.
obviously
That's why I voted for
we're
him.
just going to see an even further left uh, administration with Kamala. That's my honest opinion. I mean, her dad is literally. I mean, she was brought up as an actual. Her dad is a Marxist economist. You can Google it. I mean, it's not a. We're not making this up.
That's going to be a great line for X.
That's how she was
Her
brought
dad
up.
is a
So,
Marxist
and
economist.
we want
Love
to
it.
have a future that is prosperous, and
I didn't
I think
even
we're just
know
at this
that.
critical juncture, and I think this is a case of the America is kind of at a fork in the road,
It's true.
and I think it will take if the path to, like, you are the path to prosperity, and I think Kamala is the opposite. Then that's my honest opinion. I'm gonna get attacked like crazy, and I've also experienced quite a bit of lawfare myself, and but I'm just trying to tell people my honest opinion, and I haven't been really active in politics before, and I'm just trying to point out that my track record historically has been moderate, if not moderate, slightly left. So this is to people out there who are in the moderate camp to say, I think you should support um, Donald Trump for president. And I think it's actually a very important junction in the road, and we're in deep trouble if they don't, if it goes the other way.
Well, I want to thank you. And, I actually always did think of you as somewhat left. I must say that. So it's
Yeah.
even more of an
Well,
honor to have
yeah.
your endorsement. I know how strong you feel about it. But, when you think of her, San Francisco, 15 years ago, I had a great friend, Bob Tish. He said it's the greatest city in America. And now it's almost not livable there. And California likewise. And she was involved in the destruction of San Francisco and the destruction of California. And she will be involved in the destruction of our country if people are so unwise as to elect her. And I hope that doesn't happen. And I hope the elections are going to be run honestly. And we're going to turn this country around. We're going to do things and we can do it fairly quickly. And we have to get rid of the criminals that have been, given to us by other countries as they laugh. They laugh at
Yeah.
us. They think we're stupid to accept these people. These are radical, stone cold killers in many cases and terrorists. And they're in our country by the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And we have to take
Yeah.
I
them
didn't
out.
even know that, Heinz. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, if I could summarize it, perhaps, I think these are issues that I think most people in America would agree with, which is that we want safe and clean cities, we want secure borders, we want sensible government spending, we want to restore both the perception and reality of respect in the judicial system, just stop the lawfare, and I think that's like, and how are those even right wing positions? I think those are just that's just common sense, and that's I mean, would you agree with that?
100%. I don't understand, the whole, they call it progressive. They don't like the word liberal anymore, but call it liberal or progressive. I don't understand how somebody could say that it's okay for them to empty prisons into our country. And again, I told you their
Yeah,
crime
it's
rates
definitely
all
not
over the world
okay.
are going way down, which makes sense. In fact, the next time what we'll do is if something happens with this election, which would be a horror show, we'll meet the next time in Venezuela because it'll be a far safer place to meet than our country. Okay, so we'll go. You and I will go, and we'll have a meeting and dinner in Venezuela
Oh,
because that's what's happening. Their crime rate's coming
uh,
down, and our crime rate's going through the roof.
wow, that
And
was
it's so
good.
simple. And you haven't seen anything yet because these
This is
people
getting
have come into our
better and
country
better. I
and they're
can't believe
just
this is
getting
still going on at
acclimated.
9:40 at night, but
And they don't know about being politically correct law enforcement or lack of law enforcement. And our police, I have to just end with this. We have great police. We have great law enforcement, but they're not allowed to do their job. They have to be able to do their
Yeah,
job without being destroyed.
well, absolutely, and it's obviously demoralizing if you're a police officer risking your life
typo.
to to arrest violent criminals who could kill you and do kill you sometimes, and then you arrest the violent criminal, and then the DA doesn't prosecute, and that's let the guy out.
Yeah.
Well, then, like, why should a police officer risk their life uh, to
Exactly. The
arrest a
police
violent
officers
felon
Well,
will
even
not
worse,
if
care.
the, if
Elon,
nothing's going to happen?
even worse, they prosecute the police officer.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
go after it and they
Why would they
prosecute
do
the police
anything to
officer
help
and they
people?
take away his
It's
pension.
going to turn into
They take
China
away his
Yeah.
job.
where
He
somebody's
loses
dying in
his
the fucking
family.
street and
He
nobody
loses
helps
his
them.
house.
Well, I thought it was very telling, like incredibly telling, that when there was that case where sort of a gang of thugs beat up police officers. I think it was in Times
Yep.
Square in New York, and and then nothing happened to those guys. They were let out, zero bail, and I think a
Just
bunch of them were given
craziness.
free tickets to California. Well, what is I mean, that is a gross indignity against the United States, and that's how, I mean, this is insane. Like, have we lost all pride? What that how can such a thing be allowed to occur?
I've never seen anything.
You know?
We see where they get shot. It's a very dangerous profession, but it's something they're very proud of and they want to be able to do their job. But I've seen them get shot. I've seen a lot of things. But I've never seen where these guys are standing in the middle of a big street, everybody watching them, and they're literally boxing, like punching, stand up fighting a police officer. There were two of them, and
Yeah,
yet about six
yeah,
of
yeah.
these guys, and they're punching the hell out of them. And in their own country, they would be dead if they did that. They'd be shot. They
Yes.
would be shot instantly. And they come from these countries, and it's taking them a while to realize that we don't do that in this country. But in their own country,
Yeah,
if they
Wow.
stood on a street and had a fight with a police officer, they would be shot. There's no political correctness. And
yeah. It's
it's
just
such a sad thing to see. And that's the reason you
we
have
yeah
crime, by the way,
yeah
because we don't do anything about
yeah
it.
yeah we just cannot have a situation where our police officers are beaten up on camera by a gang of illegal immigrants, and then nothing happens to the guys that beat up the cops. I mean, and they're let out. This is
Well, we're going to
unacceptable.
change it,
Um,
and we're going to get them out of the country. When I first got involved, they said you couldn't get them back to these countries. You couldn't take them back. In the case of Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, some others, you couldn't get them back. And I said, really? Oh, you can't get them back? Because under Obama, he couldn't get them back. They'd fly them in, and they'd put planes on the runways in these countries so you couldn't land the plane. They'd bring them back. And the generals told me, sir, we can't bring them back. The countries won't accept MS-13 gang members. They won't accept them. And I
Defund
said,
the
really, how
police was
much
a
do we pay these
stupid,
various
stupid thing.
countries in terms of economic aid, which is also somewhat ridiculous? And the answer was $750 million. I said, good. Tell them they're in default. They're delinquent. We're not paying them anymore because they won't accept
yeah,
it.
it's
And you know what happened? They all called me,
yeah,
every one
yeah,
of them. They said, We would be honored to take them back, sir. We would be honored. It was so easy. But it's one of those things. And we got them back. We took in so many, the MS-13 is probably
Yeah.
the worst gangs in
Yep.
the world. They're the most vicious, violent. We took them out of here by the thousands and got them out of here. And their countries took them back. And because I said, you're not getting any more economic aid. And once I said that, they were nice. They wouldn't
Problem
take them back
fixed.
for
Yeah,
Obama. They
yeah.
wouldn't take them back for anybody.
Yeah.
And now we have a problem because we have this guy, and they don't take him back anymore with Biden because they don't respect him.
Yeah, yeah. It's just gotta be done. We just can't have whether they're citizens or not citizens. We can't have because they won't prosecute citizens either. Not just illegals. So that if it's you can't have violent repeat violent offenders that are not that don't get
That's
incarcerated
right.
because they will obviously by definition
Do it again.
continue to hurt people. And I think where part of this comes from is that there's and I do sort of consider myself liberal in some ways. I mean, it's just that you want to have empathy for
Right.
people. Obviously, you want to have empathy for people. I totally agree with that. You want to have empathy, but you also have to have empathy for the victims of the criminals. And if you just have empathy for the criminals, it's actually shallow empathy. It's not real. You're not thinking. You're one layer deep empathy. You got to say like, what if you don't incarcerate this person? Who are they going to hurt? Who are they might kill someone. They might rape someone. If you don't incarcerate them, you have to have empathy for the victims. And there's a lack of empathy
Yes.
for the victims of the
How are
criminals,
the
and
how are the
too much
victims
empathy
not the
for the
people that we
criminals. It
have the
doesn't
most
make
empathy
sense.
for?
That's why you want to have deep empathy for society as a whole, not shallow empathy for
That's right.
criminals.
And we have to give our police officers the dignity and the respect that they deserve. And we have to let them do their job. They can do a great job, but we have to let them do their job. And if we don't do that, it's going to all disappear. There's never been a society like this where you're allowed to do anything you want and nothing happens. And I'm talking about violent crime. And it's going to get more violent because these are really, really violent people. And we're going to get them out of our country and we're going to get them back to because they were sent here by the presidents and by the various people that run those countries. And I know every one of those guys. And they're smart people and they're streetwise people. And they really think that the USA is stupid. They think we're run by stupid people, and they happen to be right. But when I was there, we had no problem. We got them out. We took out thousands of MS-13 gang members. We brought them back. And now, again, it's the same old story. We don't do it. And they actually gave them a big increase in aid. They raised it up to billions of dollars, and they get nothing for it. So I hope everybody's going to vote for Trump, and we're going to get this country straight. And
Yeah.
I didn't need this.
I,
I'm like you. I didn't need this. I had a very nice
yeah.
life. I didn't need to go
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
court systems and go through all the other stuff and run at the
Sure.
same time. I have to run. I have to go through fake trials with, in some cases, corrupt judges, totally corrupt judges. I didn't need it. I had a nice life. I have great locations. I have beautiful oceans that I have places. This was, but I felt it was important. And if I had to do it over again, you probably think I'm crazy for doing it, actually. But if I had to do it over again, I would have done it over again because this is so much more important than me or my life. We're going to save this country. This country is going down. And these people are bad people that we're running against, and they're liars. They make statements. They do things that are so bad. They say they're going to make a strong border. They say they've been great on the border, and they've been the worst in history. They say they're
Yeah,
going to
it's
stop
horrible. Like
crime,
the
and
facts speak for themselves. The
it's so
facts
incredible.
speak for themselves. Like it's gotten to the point where people just don't even bother reporting crime in a lot of
That's
cities
right.
because they know
Exactly,
nothing is going to
Silas.
happen. Um, that's what I hear anecdotally from people all the time. So it's just my values. I'm just saying to people out there, like the things I think are important for the future is like we've got to have safe cities, we've got to have secure borders, we've got to have sensible spending, and we've got to have deregulation, and
Right.
so we can have a prosperous future. And then we want to have some exciting, sort of moonshot projects that people can get fired up about. And that's the future I'm looking for. And I'm pro environment. but I'm not against. I'm not like I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry because they're keeping civilization going right now, and but I do think we want to move a reasonable speed towards a sustainable energy economy. Those are my values, and I think um, and so I mean that's uh, why I'm supporting you for president.
Well, I
So
appreciate it. We're going to give incentive to companies to come into our country, not to leave our country. We're going to be giving tremendous incentives. We want companies to build here, not to build in other locations. And we want to create jobs. And again, it's about the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream anymore, Elon. You don't hear, you're the American dream in the truest sense, but you don't hear about the American dream anymore. And you're going to hear about it. People, they need that incentive to go out
yeah,
and do it. And they're going to love their lives. I mean, they're going to look forward to getting up in the morning and going to a job that they love, not a job that they can't stand, or not any job at all where they have no money, where they
yeah,
literally have no money, and then they end up with violence and lots of other problems. No, we're
yeah.
going to do some great things. And I learned a lot in the first. We had a great economy and all of that. We rebuilt the military. We did so much, but I also learned the best people. I learned the good people, the smart people, the dumb people, the people that can do things. The people, you learn. When I first came in, I tell people I was in Washington D.C. only 17 times, according to the fake news media. I was in 17 times. I never stayed over. And you don't know people. You rely on other people to give you names, and then you realize the people you relied on weren't so good. Now, we had great people, but we also had some where I wouldn't have, used them had I known. Now I
Yeah.
know everybody. And I think we're going to really turn things around fast. We have no choice. Otherwise, we're not going to have a country. And I really appreciate this. To me, it's been a lot of fun being with you. You're an amazing guy. You've done an incredible job and a great inspiration to people, a great inspiration. And I hope you keep going and just continue to do well. And we're going to have a big election coming up. And I think November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. I think that election will be the most important election. And I think it'll end up being maybe the most important day in the history of our country, because if
Yeah.
we don't win, I just feel so sorry for everybody.
No, I think we're at a fork in the road of destiny of civilization, and I think we need to take the right path, and I think you're the right path. So I think
Well,
that's what it comes down to.
thank you very much, Elon. It's a great honor, and we'll do it again sometime. And it's been really fun, and I hope you got a lot of viewers. I hear you got a lot, but I hope you
Sure.
got
Yeah.
I know you got a lot of them. So I appreciate it. I'll see you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Elon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Nice. I guess that's it, guys. All right, my thoughts on it. First hour, kind of painful. I didn't think there was enough real conversation going on. A little too much focus on me, Trump stuff. But I do loved the conversation seemed to get a little more balanced. I really loved all the topics that were covered. I think immigration was good. I love the fact that they ended on a really bright note too, trying to talk about some positive things that they wanted to do. With energy and again with just like, can we get on the moon, all these things that we should be focused on, which is like building better technology. Trump was talking about why don't we have high speed rails here? Why can't California pull that off after like a decade? Why can they only get a few miles down the road? Why can't they build this stuff economically within this country? And then talking to the fact of all of Elon Musk's successes, which I thought was great. And again, just talking about regulation, overregulation, and the fact that we need to start reducing regulations because there were people that were sick and they could have had a drug that helped save their life, but all this bureaucracy and bullshit had to be removed in order to be able to make it to where they could say, hey, I get the risks. I want to see if I can live. And Trump helped them do that. And I think that's great. That's the kind of president we need. We need a deregulation president. I thought it was great that Elon made that comment about Kamala Harris's father being a Marxist economist. This man is a communist. He believes in communist ideology in regard to running economies. So he's better served in China and Russia than he is here. And That's the influence she had as a child. No wonder she believes in equity and fair distribution and price controls and the opposite of everything that capitalism believes in. And if you're a Bitcoin person or a crypto person and you act as if you care about these things, I don't want to hear the BS about this election doesn't matter, because you literally have a communist, socialist, equal equity, anti-capitalist running up against a conservative who wants to see the country innovate and wants to see a Bitcoin council and wants to see a council that helps look at inefficiencies in government that maybe Elon could be a part of, that wants to see us succeeding and generating more energy, all kinds of energy to make the world a better place. And maybe he doesn't totally get Bitcoin yet, but he's willing to, and he's told you what he's going to do. And Kamala Harris, where is she? What's her plan? All she has is crypto for Kamala, not Kamala for crypto. So we don't know. And again, based upon what we know of this woman, she doesn't want that. She wants government control. She wants what's going on in the UK. So I think it's very important that we realize the time that we're in and the place that we're in and what we have to do to make it to where our country can survive. Because I agree, if you add up to 30 to 40 million immigrants from all over the country, and even 70% of them, let's say 10% of them are bad people, and you've let 40 million people in, you've got 400,000 criminals. And if you have cities that don't prosecute them and allow them to rape, pillage around them, like Elon was talking about with his mother that has 3 friends that literally have been assaulted or been robbed or whatever, and nothing's been done. That isn't a world I want to live in. I want a world where bad guys get put in fucking jail and good people don't have to worry about being assaulted and nobody helping them. I want to live in a world where we try and make the future better, instead of just saying, hey guys, I need equity for everybody. Everybody should be treated the exact same, even though some people are willing to work very hard to make the world a better place. People that want to do that deserve to have more. Especially people like Elon Musk that don't even live in a mansion and that do everything they can to improve our place in this universe. So I know who I'm voting for in November, and I hope you guys do too. And I appreciate everybody, all your kindness, the gifted memberships, everything you guys do. I'm here for you, and I really appreciate that you're here for me. And it's been like 7 or 8 hours of streaming today. I'm a little tired. I'm going to call it. But I love you guys, and I think this was good tonight. It started off slow, but it ended great. There's going to be a ton of great quotes. Let's get this guy elected.